I'm Rezlar.
I'm Frosty.
As nobody's really engaged quite yet.
Yep. Oh, there we have been. Oh, was that a triple stun for the Mystic?
And welcome back to the Value Pack. And welcome everybody to another episode of the Value Pack. I guess I'll go ahead and say this here. We first of all, you might notice ads on the video. If you are a caveman and don't have ad blocker for some reason, I have monetized the channel just to try and make some extra cash. Don't use ad blocker. Just make your life easier. Also, because
that's why we're not partnered, by the way.
Also, another thing, people have been talking about wanting to donate and stuff like that. So we set up a very, very basic Patreon. I'll link it in the description. So if you feel like you like our content and you want to support us monetarily, then you're willing to do that. We have a really, really cheap stuff and also some slightly more expensive stuff. At least to me, it's expensive. I don't know. I'm poor, so. And yeah, basically the Patreon, the different tiers, you can get your name in the podcast. You can get extra content. Starting next week, are going to be recording extra content every single week after the podcast called the After Hours. And yeah, so if you're interested in that sort of stuff, then you can check that out and feel free to support us in that way as well. I think that's it for... me and Frosty are doing a 2v2 tournament later this month. We don't have a date yet, but if you're interested in that, join the Discord, join the community Discord, and join the NA Duelist Discord. We'll probably figure out the details later this week, so we'll probably have an announcement at some point later this week. So make sure you join that. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I would like to apologize for over that whole announcement. There were video game sounds from Histria, but they're gone now.
Okay, so our guest today, he's a very good tamer. I know some of you guys have been excited for a tamer guest for a while. In fact, he is actually he's not a tamer. He claims that his class is defense.
That's correct.
He is the last tamer in Snake. It is Shade, aka FeelsTamerMan, right? Isn't that your character name?
That is the character name, yeah.
Hell yeah, man! Thank you for joining us.
Hey, no sweat, dude.
Is that a true title? Are you the last and are you the only tamer in Snake?
There are no tamers in Snake. I'm defense.
So you want to explain for us what does that mean when you say you are defense and not a tamer in Snake?
Well, we have 5 classes. I said 4 earlier, but actually Rezlar corrected me. So we have witches. Actually, wizard first, right? We have wizards. We have some witches, and then we have guardians, and then we have berserkers. A few berserkers. They're kind of last on the list. Well, aside from defense, and then we have defense, and those are the 5 classes that we have in Snake. And not everybody that's a wizard is a wizard as their main class, but as far as B-Kill is concerned, anybody with an alt wizard for Siege is a wizard. So that's basically how we work everything out.
And you guys don't get no archers, huh?
No, just defense.
All right. You got a big defense team or a lot of people with alts? Which is okay.
Something like that.
All right, so give us a little bit of backstory. How long have you been playing BDO? When did you start? Why did you choose to main defense?
Man. Okay, so I'll start with the first question. I started playing BDO back in, I guess, April 2016, a few weeks after the game came out. I was playing Star Wars The Old Republic at the time. That's kind of the game I came over from, and I was pretty much just a Western MMOer, right? I played a little bit of EverQuest, then went on to WoW, did quite a bit of WoW, and then moved to SWTOR. played that for a few years, and it was growing a little stale. I'd been on that game for like maybe 3 years, something like that. And I had a bunch of friends that were like, "Yeah, did you guys see this new MMO that came out? It looks amazing. It's called Black Desert Online." I saw a couple of videos, and I was like, I was kind of, kind of lukewarm about it at first, like when I saw like the promo for it and stuff like that. And then I played the game, and I was hooked. And it's funny because I was hooked, and like the maybe 12 other people that I came over to the game with were not, and they all quit after about 2 months, and I was literally the only one that stayed. And
what did they all go back? What did they go back to? Are they still off?
Just various games. Yeah, they're pretty much all just on other games. I think a lot of them couldn't handle excessive amounts of grinding. And
probably the RNG when they got to that point too.
Yeah, well, the game wasn't really pay to win at all. Like value packs weren't even a thing back then.
Yeah, that's true.
So it wasn't that sort of aspect of the game that turned them off. It was really just the, I have to grind. I have to wake up and grind for several hours and then do other stuff that I might actually enjoy doing while playing, right?
Then also back then the life skilling wasn't as useful.
Yeah, life skilling. Yeah, I don't know if people know this, but back then, like, if you wanted to process anything, like if you wanted to like chop wood or like, I don't know, dry fish or whatever, right? It cost energy per process. If you wanted to cook, it cost energy per cooking attempt or whatever, per cooking cycle. So yeah, no, AFK money wasn't a thing. You grinded if you wanted to get like money and gear back then.
That's back when energy tonics were the biggest pay to win item in the shop.
Were they? Okay, yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, total waste of money.
I don't even know if people were buying them or not, but
I remember my like the first time I got put in a defense team, it was in the guild support, and I got put on cannon team. And well, I guess it's not technically defense, right?
No,
but
not even figuratively defense. Nope.
Well, it depends on how you how you cut it, right? We work things a little bit differently in Snake, but so I had to alchemy like my own cannonballs, right? You have to make like the fucking the gunpowder.
I remember that.
The herbal gunpowder, and like that shit cost energy just to do alchemy. Yep. And like I was limited on the amount I had to like, I have this much energy, I better go make some cannonballs now, Yeah, so the game is definitely they've made a lot of improvements to this game, and I have a very love-hate relationship with this game. Like there's things that I really love about it, and there's things that just drive me nuts.
Can I point out
everyone at this point?
Can I point out the one improvement that everyone is on board with? The one change that changed the history of the game, the course, and everything.
Go for it.
They added barricades to the red side of RBF.
Finally, right?
Everything is fixed.
Yeah. Got his prayers answered after like 4 years.
Yeah, they acknowledged the fact that we finally won a ranked arena, but we'll just go ahead and add barricades in the RBF instead. That'll fix it all.
Right. I mean, to be fair though, the RBF map layout change was really good. Like, one of the things that was really hard on a lot of players is range classes being able to sit high up on walls and it being basically impossible to get to them. And there's only one really tall wall now, and that's the one directly in the center. And they've even shortened it, I think, a meter or two.
Yeah, I don't think people even
can actually hit them.
I don't think people even notice that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of classes that can literally jump up and grab a target at elevation. Like Ninja can do it, Tamer can do it, Kuno can do it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of
jump grab.
There's a lot of classes
Tamers
too
can air grab
that didn't even realize like that issue of being farmed from the range. Like Mayar, for example, just kills them with their bow from the ground and stuff like that. So. How long
do you fight?
How long have you been in Snake? Where like what you said you were in support? Like what kind of guilds did you go through, and when did you join Snake?
Yo, that's crazy because I was actually like a month ago. I'd found like a thumb drive that I had saved an old SSD from like 2016, 17, and like the beginning of 2018.
Mhm.
And I had all my video screenshots for like 3 years on it. And I was going like I just had time to kill on my stream, and I was like going through like photo by photo, like telling like my viewers like what guild I was in. Like every time I got like a gear upgrade, I'd take a screenshot so you could like see like the slow progression of my gear. And my guilds, right? So the very first guild I joined was just a guild advertising in World Chat that they were looking for PvPers. I was like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks into the game, and I was like, "Fuck it, dude! I've been playing for a little bit. Let's find a guild. Let's see if I can, learn some things about this game, and try to get in some PvP and stuff like that." And so I joined Side Effect, which, funny enough, true story, actually became
Wait, what server was it?
Eden.
Eden Uno.
Yeah,
Okay.
Eden. And like if you were to like go back to like the 2016 like guild rankings, I think we were like somewhere between A and B, right? So there's like S, A, B,
Yeah.
blah blah blah, right? So like depending on what week it was that somebody was putting together a tier list, we were like somewhere between A and B, right? So not too bad. We'd get good fights, stuff like that. Funny enough though, that was the first guild I joined. That guild eventually became or was given to FX and was renamed to Vision, which was then renamed to Snake. So that is the first guild I joined. So I can say the very first guild I joined when I came to BDO was Snake, because that's actually
That's crazy.
what that guild became. No, so basically, Side Effect was okay. I met like a lot of good friends in Side Effect, and we kind of had like a core. I'd say like around like 10, 12 people, and the guild was expanding improperly, like basically taking on members too fast and kind of experiencing growing pains as a result of that. Infighting, bad players, just say it like that. Upsetting the sort of the better players, and so a group of us ended up leaving as a result of that, and we went to Redface, which was basically being reborn from the first time Redface died. Eden people will understand. There's probably like 90% of the people listening to this podcast won't know who Redface is. But they were like an old Eden guild, very big at the very start of the game, but then they died because the guild leader left, and then it was supposed to be like an oligarchy that was run by like all of the officers, and nobody was really a leader, and that shit just went to shit, right? So then that same leader, his name was Lyco, came back and was like reestablishing Redface. They had a lot of good players back in the game, and I was in Redface. We loved it. And then Lyco got salty at the game again, like 2 months later, and quit. And the idea wasn't that Redface die. The idea was that it merge into support, or not merge into support. They were supposed to come together and form a brand new guild. Who here knows support or remembers support? That was the guild that was run by Ghost and Maravin.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's when I ended up kind of doing like Redface didn't really do any real sieging. I think we took a few stabs at it. I think we placed on Calf once and we got beat by like Waifu and somebody else. It was Waifu, Gravity, and I think Prey against Redface support, and I'm not sure if we had a third. I think we had a third. It was PRX. We just Gravity was super strong at the time, and yeah, I don't think the three of us had a chance against. Prey wasn't that strong. Waifu was pretty damn strong, and Gravity was just fucking nuts. So, am I going too detailed
No,
into this? Do I need
you
to
go.
speed this
No,
up?
you're doing good, man.
Yeah, you
Cool.
do your story, dude. We need the backstory on Snake. Let's get it.
For
Keep
sure.
it going, dude.
That was the very first like actual castle siege experience that I had, and dude, like I was confused. I didn't know like where fucking north was. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even know like what I was supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Like
you and many other players learned their cardinal directions really quickly in this game.
exactly. So that was kind of a shit show. We lost that. We didn't really siege much after that, and it was only like a month later that we ended up going into support. Support was much more organized, but the player quality, I think, was overall lower. Although I will say that's kind of one of the things that a guild has to go through when you take on a lot of members. Like Redface was only like a 40-man guild in that first siege, and we were probably too careful about taking on new players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And support wasn't, right? Like support like wanted to fill their roster. Basically, they just figured, the more the better, right? Like 40 people are going to be worse than 100 people, right? So anyway, so Redface died. We actually kind of merged into support, and the guild was renamed from support to Breakthrough.
A quick question on Redface. Is it any relation to the new Redface that's around?
Yes, and I will
Okay.
get to that a
Okay.
little bit.
Okay.
So
Yeah, Frosty, you're jumping ahead. Goddamn.
Sorry. I just fought them the other day, so I was curious.
support
Let me
was
tell
kind
the
of
story.
so support was it was okay, but remember that like original core group of people that I said came from Side Effect and joined
Yeah.
Redface, the guys that I left Side Effect with.
Hmm.
We were we didn't like sieging, right? Like we were like talking about it. We were like kind of whack, we're just going around like hitting recoveries, and like it's just like a big group of people smashing into another big group of people, and it just wasn't that fun. So we all left Breakthrough, which was basically support, and it was about like maybe 12 of us, and the guy who was kind of I don't want to say like the ringleader, but like one of the more influential personalities in the group was Bow User. I don't know if anybody remembers him.
Hmm. I remember.
Bow User, aka Shovel User.
Shovel user.
Shovel user.
That's a little joke. So we all left, and Bow User asked Lyco, he's like, "Hey, I want to make Redface again, but I'm gonna keep it really small. Right now it's just like the 10 or 12 of us. It was like Bow User, myself, Sparkidius, Razzles, Yanni, Ryder. I mean, these probably a lot of people do or don't remember these names. We all came together. He gave us the guild, and that was probably the funnest time I remember in BDO. Like I was in, like we were tight. We were, I don't know. The guild lasted about 6 months, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It lasted until about October, and there was a number of people that just a number of people got upset because they decided to release Awakenings one at a time. And they were like, basically the devs are trying to like sandbag the content. It's throwing game balance way out of whack because Warriors were just fucking stupid. Like for the first like
Oh my god.
5-6 months.
Shit was insane at first.
Yeah. And
I will never understand why they made that decision. That was the weirdest fucking. Like again,
because they only had like
sandbagging.
one translator for their entire company.
Again, I know that they were sandbagging the content, as you put it. Like they're trying to stretch it out, but they had to have known that the community was going to be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. At the same time, though, right? Like some of the same people All right, so there was one person in the guild who was one of the people, because quite a few of the red face people played KR before NA was released. And one of them, his name was Reckless, and that he doesn't play the game anymore. I know there's a couple of different people named Reckless in the game. This is a completely different person. Came in and he said he's like, hey, there's this trick to get like free, like not free, well, essentially free, like hards and sharps by digging in the desert. You just have to fill your inventory up with fucking, seeds or like some light items, right? That'll fill every inventory slot. And he was like, you got to set a macro because every time you cheer, you'll have to like re-push the dig button or whatever that was, right? And he's like, yeah, it's not an exploit, dude. It's been going on in KR forever. They're not banning anybody for it. The devs know about it. Basically, he told everybody. And when I say everybody, the guild was still small. Like we were like, I think we started with like 12 people. Maybe we were up to like 16, 18 people at that point. He has about 90% of the guild doing it.
Oh,
right?
Man.
And yeah, like most of the guild dug, basically. A lot of the people who did, or some of the people didn't though. Like I didn't, and like maybe 4 other people didn't. Right. So if you see a red face, well, actually, I don't think any of the people that are back from red face, maybe 1 or 2 of them are one of those people that did, and the people that did come back to the game started fresh accounts. So you shouldn't,
don't exploit
whatever.
kids.
Don't exploit kids, exactly.
If you have to say it's not an exploit, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Exactly.
If you have to convince people, no, dude, it's totally fine. They're totally not gonna ban us. They're probably gonna end up banning you.
Anyone comes at you saying there's an easy way to make quick cash, it's usually a scam.
Yep. So, I mean, like full disclosure, I actually tried it. Like I went out to the desert, filled my inventory up with seeds, put 1 hard, 1 sharp in my inventory, and sat there in front of my computer and just watched it happen just to see what would happen. How does this work? And I did it for about 5 minutes, didn't get a hard or a sharp, and just said, what am I doing? Like I can make money in this game. This isn't that hard.
Were you leaning over the sink in your bathroom looking at yourself in the mirror when you were having this revelation?
Exactly.
Splash water on your face in slow motion. Like...
slapping my cheek, like...
You're better than this, man.
I'm better than this. Yeah, exactly. But no, I didn't. I mean, obviously, I didn't get banned, so I didn't do it. But it was. I was just kind of like, I was curious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't do it because I would have definitely got banned, because there was actually a couple of the people in the guild that got banned for digging. They had only done it for like 2 days. Like they were kind of like late to the like the whole guild.
Picked up the activity. They checked the.
They still picked up the activity, and those people still got banned. Even the guys that did it for just 2 days. Like we're talking about people that got like a total of like maybe 20 mil worth of gain off of it.
Shit.
And like when that was announced, like the whole guild, not announced, like when the guy came in and told everybody and got everybody started on it, it was maybe 2 weeks before the ban wave came out. So like the whole guild had only been doing it for about 2 weeks, whereas you had like the Gravity guys that got banned, they'd been doing it, I think, for like a month and a half, maybe 2 months. Not to like, lighten it in any way, like you should, like, I think they were right for banning people who did it for 2 days or for 2 weeks or for 2 months. You know what I mean?
But
the thing about it that should have been a red flag was that you had to set like a macro in Razor Synapse to make it work, because you had to pop a water, like the macro had to pop a water every 2 minutes, and the macro also had to pop an HP potion just in case every like minute or so, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Auto pots, fairies, shit like that didn't exist at the time. And the whole reason it was an exploit was because if you had your inventory full and you rejected any of the items that you got from digging due to a full inventory, it wouldn't cost energy, right? So if you got like a bag of muddy water, a titanium ore piece, and a sharp, and you already had a sharp in your inventory, it would stack in your inventory, but you didn't have space for the muddy water or the titanium ore. It would basically throw the muddy water and the titanium ore away and not cost any energy while you kept the sharp. So you could basically infinitely dig. You had infinite energy, and you could just run this shit all night long. That's what that exploit was. I've actually had a lot of people, like newer players, like, what's digging? You know what I mean? Now you know.
The funny thing is, instead of exploiting, you guys at the time could have just spent thousands of dollars on energy tonics.
Yeah, probably.
And then the macro would only have to press the energy tonic button, you know, the hotkey.
Yeah,
it's too bad. All right, so post digging.
So post digging, Redface is gone. Unfortunately,
Okay.
There's like 4 of us left. You know, I mean, basically, of everybody that was left who didn't dig, like, well, Sparkidius had he'd quit the game like 2 months before. He never dug. Yanni never dug. He kept his account. In fact, his account in Redface is his original account. So he's playing the game again. He was a really good Kuno back in the day. You know, we would do like there wasn't really much of a tournament scene back then because there was no AOA, but people would do tournaments in like the city's battle arenas.
Mm-hmm.
And Yanni was he was a star. Like everybody knew who Yanni was. So it was me, Jody Hyrola, who, if you were ever in FML, you know him. He's a character.
Mm-hmm.
Yanni and who else was there? Somebody else. Stella. Stella never dug. Stella's back in Redface too now. Maybe, I might be missing somebody, but that was basically who was left. So myself and Jody were the only ones who wanted to continue playing BDO. The other two, Stella and Yanni, were like, yeah, I kind of want to stick with our friends. They all want to quit. They're not going to make new accounts, you know, whatever. So Jody, like for Jody and me, we were both discussing like where are we going to go. Jody really wanted to go to FML, and I really wanted to go to Vision. But I was still like FML was still on the table for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anybody here remembers Hero PvP. He was a wizard back in the day. He was pretty much the best 1v1 wizard in the game from like 2016 to 2018.
It's not saying much. Go on. Just kidding.
He was fucking good, dude.
I know. I'm kidding.
So I was basically in talks with Hero. I really liked Hero. Like, first of all, like I'd never seen anybody play wizard like him, and I really respected that. And it just looked like Vision had like a lot of high quality players. Like some of the Mango players that decided to not go into Man Up, or that went into Man Up as part of the original Mango Man Up merge, and then we're just like, yeah, Man Up's not really for me. Went to Vision, and Mango had a lot of good players. So I was like, I like these Vision guys. So I went into Vision, and at that time, like Vision is the guild that became Snake, right? Like, literally, it was just a name change. We kept the same logo and everything. It was just a GM decided to quit the game, and we decided to change the name.
It was.
So I went into Vision.
It was around the Summit 1G time, right? When the name.
No,
change happened.
this was when the name change happened. That's right. But this was, we're still like right now we're like November, like maybe October, November-ish, 2016. And so I joined Vision back then. Like Vision had 30 people, and we did not siege, like nothing. We just did. All we would try to do is try to snipe like rollovers, like nodes that had rollover money,
right?
For payout. And node war money was significantly worse back then than it is now. I mean, it was still good money at the time. There weren't good grind spots back then. Like the best grind spot back then was Pirates. And Vision. I mean, I guess I'm technically still there, but that iteration of Snake or Vision, whatever you want to call it, was probably a better one for the type of like PvP that I enjoy, like smaller scale skirmishing, you know, shit talking in open world, even though I don't particularly partake in it unless somebody starts it. Like I'll
Right.
never kill somebody and say lol bad, but if somebody says that to me, then I'll start going on them. I mean, it's just not my style to start
Dude,
shit.
shit
But
talking is part of the fun, though.
it is, and I enjoy it once it gets started. But to be honest, like these boomer hands are a little slow at typing, so I really need to set up the shit talk macros. That'll probably make the shit talk easier for me. I don't know. Another thing I really like doing is just giving people the silent treatment. As long as you're beating their ass, if you're just silent with them, it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I like giving them the silent treatment, whether they're beating my ass or I'm beating their ass. Doesn't matter. I don't say anything either. I'm kind of the same way. Like if they start talking like crazy shit, then I'll put like question marks and stuff, or just put LOL. But that's it.
Yeah, for sure. So Vision, we're just sniping like T2s, T3s, T4s, but just rollovers. We're not trying to get 1 week's worth of node money. We're trying to get like 2 or 3 weeks worth of node money. And Vision, like, very slowly and methodically recruited people.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up, like, I guess this was like in like mid-December, maybe late December. Oh, no. It was around server merge, which I guess was just after Thanksgiving, right? Like December 1st, 2016 was server merge.
I still didn't play at that time.
Fuck. Okay, so it was around that time, like a week, 1 to 2 weeks before server merge.
Yeah.
BKill was like, "Hey FX, I want to plan on Serendia, right? We haven't planned on a region as Vision, right?" And he was like, "Fuck it, dude, fine." So the only guild that was there was Alloy, and I think at this time we'd maybe gotten a few more members, because BKill had been kind of like secretly. FX didn't like to recruit people in mass, right? He wanted to keep it smallish. I think BKill had managed to get the guild over like 45, 50 people. We played Serendia. We fought Alloy, which nobody probably remembers. Yeah, I mean, only more veteran players are going to remember Alloy. Alloy eventually kind of became Good Fight, or at least a lot of their core went to form Good Fight. I don't remember who the GM was of Alloy, but it was a really well-known name back in 2016. And we won. It was a 1v1, and we won the region. We were like, holy shit, dude. We can hold the region. We got that money. And BKill kind of started looking at it and going, like, look at like the amount of money that you can pour into a guild as a whole just by holding a region. And he was like, holy shit, like we should make it our goal to hold a region, even if it's not like a castle region. It's like literally billions of silver that you're putting into a guild at this point anyway. I mean, when you're Serendia, you're probably talking just under $1 billion, something like that, but you're putting that into your guild every single week, and that adds up like week after week after week in terms of like overall guild strength. And like people laugh at the size of guild payouts now, right? Like, oh, that's just like an hour or two grinding somewhere. Yeah, that's true, but you're getting it on top of grinding, etc. Right? Like a snake payout right now, if you attend Siege, is around 250 mil, right? You work that out to like a bill, almost a bill a month, right, for every single player. Over the course of a year, that's like 12 bill. That's, I mean, believe me, there's a group of people that just went and leveled like 350 shies to give each of their members between 10 and 15 bill. You know what I mean?
That's almost 2 Pen Blackstar attempts per year.
It's like 3 almost.
Yeah.
Like a Pen Blackstar attempt is 3.6, right? 3.67. Anyways, so that became our goal. We're gonna hold Serendia. That's it. So we held Serendia, I think, for like 4 months, something like that. And like the way it worked, like with the whole tax system and stuff like that, the longer you held the region, the more money you got out of the region. And it's still Serendia, right? It's not like like a big boy region yet, right? But like back then, I think any region money was really good because again, history wasn't even a thing yet, right? They hadn't nerfed the DP on the history of mobs yet, and everybody considered history and Ackman basically a group grind spot that wasn't really worth the money back then, right? Like you didn't have maids back then. Where did you put the fucking trash loot? You know what I mean? There was a lot of problems surrounding grinding like history of Ackman back then.
You just bring a wagon in, bro. Easy.
Yeah, right.
Bring a water.
So, you know, eventually, like B-Kill, like really at that point, FX was not really involved with expanding the guild or growing the guild, running the guild, managing it, and stuff like that. At that point, he was kind of like a how do you say, like a public relations GM. You know, he's just like the face that everybody. Oh, I got to whisper this guy to talk about
Like
the
the
guild.
Queen of England.
Yeah, the Queen of England, exactly. And B-Kill was really like the shadow GM. He was like running everything, handling recruitment and stuff like that. And I think he got us, you know, up to like a good solid like 80 plus members. And you know, back then the emphasis wasn't on Witch and Wizard because you know, for example, Warrior was one of the strongest classes in the game overall back then. A really good siege class. You know, always super armored. You know, stuff like that. You know, before the big like super armor CC / CC limit nerfs, all that kind of stuff. So we had a lot of warriors in the guild. Actually, the class that we had the most of it at that time was Ranger. Yeah. And Rangers didn't stop becoming a thing for Vision until like Witch and Wizard Awakening became really solid and really evident how good they were in large scale. And all the Rangers in the guild, you know, basically wanted to be on a range class, but didn't want to like fall over all the time. Like they used to joke about it. They used to say, like, you know, like whatever, I'm doing blah, you know, are you on this side? He's like, no, I slipped on a banana peel. Like we used to call it the banana peel. Like, no, I just banana peeled over here because that's all like Rangers would do is just like fall over, you know, because they're dash, you know, unprotected. I mean, I guess off cooldown it's an iframe, right? But it's like 3 dashes are unprotected, and then you get one that's an iframe, something like that. So like in terms of large scale, right? Like you have a lot of range damage going on. Actually, you know what the fight was that really, I think, this is just my opinion. I could be wrong about this, or it's probably somebody who might listen to this like in Vision or in Snake that might disagree with me, like one of the OGs like B-Kill or Ariwan or one of the like original guys that are still in the guild. But we fought FML at some point early 2017. There's like maybe 2 months after Witch Awakening, right? I think Witch got theirs in December, Wizard got theirs in like January. Mm-hmm. And Proto was pretty smart. He saw how strong Witch and Wizard was. He had a lot of his own guild members, including himself, roll over to Witch or Wizard. And I think at that time, Wizard was hands down stronger because of how much damage their 100% did. Like Wizard 100%
was pretty good back then.
It was a nuke. It was literally an atomic bomb. Because there were some bugs with it, like where it was applying extra damage that it wasn't supposed to apply or something like that. I don't remember the details of it.
When you laid out the setup that one of the big fights were, and you said FML and Snake, you triggered Neant Baby, who says it was Barcode Snake X Cho versus Barcode. And then he said Reshade.
He's probably not thinking of the right fight. This was on Hex Sanctuary, and it was a 1v1 Snake versus FML. We were like, oh, it's FML. We're gonna roll them, right? Because we'd done it in the past, right? And they had a lot of witches and wizards, and we struggled. We still won, but like a lot of the people that were on Ranger were really upset at just getting blasted.
Obvious the power was.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, and then like right after that fight, we had a lot of people that were Rangers, because we had like 30 Rangers,
right,
in the guild at that point. Ranger was a really strong class in Siege, or at least it was considered until Witch Wiz Awakening came out. And like back then, remember, BSR would accumulate not based on time, like it wouldn't tick up every second or so, right? Like it only accumulated when you took hits. So here you had a class like Wizard that has just an atomic bomb ultimate that can pop PA, drop themselves into the middle of a group, get hit by 100 things at once, instantly fill their BSR, and then just drop a bomb. Like it was like clockwork. It was predictable. Like once you saw somebody streaming do it and you saw how fast BSR would build and they could drop a bomb like that, it was like, holy shit, dude. Yeah. Anyways,
the BSR was really, really, really strong back then.
Really, really strong. And just the whole way it worked, like in tandem with PA taking hits, and I don't know. It was crazy. So at that point was when we started to sort of move to, let's try to get more witches and wizards in the guild. And if you're tired of falling over on your ranger, then reroll to a witch or wizard. That's basically what happened. Things move forward a bit. I think around like March, maybe April or May, sometime, Q2 2017. We started to set our eyes on a castle region. We've been recruiting more people, and we were getting actually a lot of good shout outs from like Lakari on podcasts. Like he'd say, like, "Oh, Vision is so strong" and stuff like that. And plus we would just perform well in like Siege and Node Wars, right? Like people would screenshot like a conquest status and they'd see like, a very, very good like KDR and stuff like that. I don't know. Just word kind of got around that the guild was good, right? And that always helps because then you get the recruitment apps coming in, right? And you get the better players. And as long as you have a lot of apps coming in, you get to kind of pick and choose the better ones, or the ones that are on classes that are going to more suit your composition, stuff like that. So we're recruiting more people. We start to set our eyes on media. This was when like Snake/Vision going media started, and we had Gravity on media at the time, and Gravity was struggling. I don't know. I think they were taking losses against Man Up and Barcode, and memory's kind of foggy. We're talking like 3 years ago, right? We're talking like boomer shade here, right? Like Alzheimer's is gonna set in a few years, so I gotta like really. You gotta take what I say with a grain of salt. But so Gravity and Iconic was like the biggest guild on Orwin, and they came over to NA. They had a really strong core, but outside of their core, they had a lot of weak members. Like I'd probably say their core when after server merge was stronger than any other core of 15 people, at least gear wise. But then outside of that, they had a lot of their overall average gear, you could say, which is a very important factor in terms of the overall strength of a guild in large fights. So Iconic was struggling by this point. We're like maybe 4 or 5 months after server merge. Gravity is starting to struggle. They're taking losses. Both of them are bleeding members, so they decide to merge, right? They did 2 guilds. They made Lunar and Solar, and I don't remember which was the daddy guild and which was the bitch guild. But they basically like, I think Gravity became Solar, and that was the main guild, and then Iconic became Lunar, and because they had more than 100 people all together, they kind of kept sort of both guilds going, and if like Solar was in Castle, then they would all like anybody who wanted to like Node War during the week would move from Solar to Lunar. But Solar Lunar only lasted, I think, maybe 2 weeks. They took some heavy losses. The Gravity people got mad at the Iconic people and basically said, "It's off. We're fucking done with you guys." And Gravity was really like at its weakest point at that point, and that was when we decided to hit them. And who was the guild? There was a guild that we got. Like, okay, so everybody placed back then with at least a couple of guilds, right? Like the Holding Guild was Gravity or Solar. Actually, they renamed themselves back to Gravity. They were like, "Fuck Iconic," we're going back to just being Gravity. And who did their politicking?
It was Iconic way back in the day when it became like all servers merged and everything.
Okay, right on. Lirelai. I think Lirelai was handling the politics. No, Lirelai was back in Man Up. Lirelai was Man Up, then he went to Gravity, he backstabbed Lakari, and then he was like, Gravity, Keck W, I'm going back to Man Up. So it was probably Judgment or Tormund that were handling politics for Gravity at the time. And so they had like, I think 3 guilds, and then we had us, and I don't remember who we brought. It was a guild that started with an A.
Aftershock?
No, it wasn't Aftershock. They were a great guild because they kept placing on Media afterwards, like after we won this fight, for no reason whatsoever. We're like, hey, we don't need you guys anymore. We're good, dude. We got the region, you know what I mean? Like, and they're like, no, we just want to place in case there's a fight. We like you guys.
Ascendance. Was it Ascendance?
It wasn't Ascendance. I don't remember the name. We ended up taking, like, the guild ended up falling apart like maybe 8-9 months later, and we ended up taking like their better members.
Sounds like Hex. Was it Hex?
No, it started with an A. It definitely started with an A. I don't remember, but so we placed with that other guild, and then Gravity. It was Gravity plus 2 other guilds, and we had already politicked one of Gravity's guilds to switch sides, basically making it a 3v2 in our favor. And that was when we kicked Gravity out the first time and took Media. And I don't remember what we did to pay the other 2 guilds. I don't even think we gave them the region. I think we might have given one of them the region, and then the other one we just like, you could final war people and give them like 100 mil a day, something like that.
Right.
I don't know if anybody here remembers that, but we did that for like 2 weeks straight and gave them like 1.4 bill, something like that, right, in guild funds. So that's how we took Media, and like after that, we were pretty much 100-man guild, full strength. Gravity was falling apart at that point. At that time, Lakari had been kicked, or that time or shortly after, Lakari had been kicked out of. Lakari and Manup had been kicked out of Valencia by Orca and his alliance of Uno boys. And
I remember that.
They were actually held out of castle for like a good 8-9 weeks. And then eventually people on the Uno boys side kind of got either they got lazy or they just got tired of doing that. And then Lakari basically merged Man Up into Gravity because Gravity was falling apart, bleeding members. Man Up also kind of losing members. They hadn't, weren't able to take back Valencia for a really long time. That was at some point, Lakari had asked us to go help them on Valencia, and we didn't because FX, who was still GM of Vision at the time, was dating Chains, who was originally a Barcode member and basically still friends with Orca. So she was using, Orca was using his influence through her onto FX. And there was this whole meme that was out at the time because Lakari was basically saying that Chainsaws, was the most influential player in the game because of her connection to both FX and Orca. So, like, we weren't allying, like, we were still in Media Castle at the time, but we weren't allying with Orca. We just weren't helping Man Up, right? And that's when Lakari put us. We're in one of his ARC videos of, where he's got a little like pictogram of the Man Up logo walking over to a snake and saying, 2v8 on Valencia, and then the snake going and then like running away. So, it shit just kind of rolled forward from there. FX was like playing the game less and less. I mean, he's already like basically not been playing the game for like 6-8 months by now. B-Kill's running everything. He's getting kind of frustrated because he doesn't have full GM powers, and every time he wants to like do something significant, like if he needs a CTG or payouts need to get done, we basically have to wait for who's basically not playing the game anymore. So eventually, he convinces FX to turn the guild over. FX, I guess, had the guild name Vision in other games, and he did not. He kind of felt like it was his brand, and he wanted to keep the name Vision. So when he left, he was like, I'll give you guys the guild, but I need to keep the name Vision. So fine, we changed the name to Snake. It was kind of like whatever. Personally, I like the name Vision, but it's just a name. Like, who cares, right? Like, there's the greatest rock band in the world is named Tool. Like, what a dumb name, right? But they're fucking amazing. Anyways, so like FX is gone. We renamed Snake, and I mean the rest is kind of history. Like my own personal experience in it, it did become less enjoyable for me as we got into more like large scale fights. I don't particularly like that aspect of the game of just throwing bodies into bodies and trading super armor and stuff like that. But
Tamer
it
doesn't like large scale. Who would have guessed?
It's not even like even if I was like effective at it, like, and I think Tamer can be pretty good large scale if they're constantly fed BSR. I mean, the alt is really good, right? I mean, unfortunately, Guardians can basically alt every 13 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure that's going to change. I don't think that's going to stand for a long time. But under those circumstances, but you have to ask yourself. So if you have all these people feeding you BSR, would that be better overall if instead of those people giving you BSR at a 1 to 2 or 2 to 1 ratio, right? Because they spend 100% BSR to give me 50%. Would they just be better off as a Witcher Wizard absorbing and doing like a ton more damage and having a much faster cast speed and stuff like that? And I say Witch Wizard because that's mostly what we have, and that's what I'd be taking away if I did that.
Right.
And we thought about it, because I'm pretty geared. I'm like maybe number 18, 19, maybe 20 now on like the overall guild sheet, which for Snake, like we're like, I don't know if we're the most geared guild in the game. I know Cho is pretty geared. We probably are. I don't know. I felt more at home just doing shitty stuff around the base on defense. Like I enjoy. I don't know. Like I really feel like Siege. It's really laggy. Like I try to cancel the skill and it doesn't go off because the right frame you needed to cancel from one thing into the next wasn't there because you're dropping frames. I don't know. It's not enjoyable. The large
Right.
ball fights and stuff like that.
Agreed.
So
Touched large scale in a while.
So let's transition over to Tamer. Let's just start from large scale, like overall balance of Tamer. Let's start just with Awakening first. What are your feelings on Tamer balance and Awakening? In large scale fights, including Node Wars, not just Siege, but like maybe 55 plus Node Wars, 45,
Sure.
whatever. Yeah.
I mean, I think in an open field, we're stronger than if you have like a cluster of people trying to control like a choke point or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're better as a class that tries to peel their own backline.
Right.
Like a recent sort of, it kind of depends on how meta shift too, right? Like Lawns, I mean, even though they've been nerfed, they're still really strong. If they drop down on a target, they get that KD and they start spinning, the target is still dead. Regardless, right?
Yep.
Like having a Tamer back there to grab the lawn, like, I mean, I do that all the time in RBF. There's lawns flying all over the place. I'll just kind of sit close to my witches and wizards, wait for a lawn to drop down and grab them, right? You're actually doing a lot for your team if you do something like that. Also, if you are in a push, throwing like called Void Lightning down, people also call it like pet AIDS or pet cancer. It's like the multi-stiffness.
Right.
It covers a pretty wide AOE, and it's you can get like, I don't know, quad, penta, hex kills if you catch like a bunch of people in it. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to say. It's not really like, I really feel like the larger the fight,
Right.
and I'm not just talking about like me fighting 4 or 5 people. I'm talking about like 20v20.
Mm-hmm.
The less impact you're gonna have
Yeah.
on this class, which is fine because I don't know that it's totally fair because you have like classes like Sork, which are really strong, like a really strong 1v1, but also pretty damn strong in that situation too. 20v20, 30v30, 50v50, even full 100v100.
Right.
So
I know like Tamer has kind of a similar thing that Reslar feels with Zerker, where it feels like the balance is based on your Q buff or your ult, right? So for Tamer, it's probably like pet absorb and ult, and you guys get fed and you guys get huge kill feeds, but everyone else gets to get kind of, or not everyone else, but a lot of other classes get to get fat kill feeds without an ult. Do you kind of wish that changed, or do you like that it's a little bit based around the ult?
no, I really wish it would change, but I feel like making Tamer ult nutty was an easy fix for PA. It's like, oh, the class is kind of bad in large scale. Well, let's just make their ultimate stupid, and that'll balance it out.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. I think Tamer would do a lot better in large scale if we had safer movement. And I know that kind of sounds like a meme because we're pretty hard to catch, like in small scale 1v1. But like every quote pre-awaken iframe, our little flips, is CCable at the very end of it, and you're not going to notice that with one player, particularly like a melee class, trying to catch him in between his flips. You're basically not going to do it. You'll catch him maybe once out of 50 times or something, right? But when you have a bunch of CC going out, covering the whole area, you're going to get caught in 10 seconds or so.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like there's actually a spreadsheet that a couple of people in the Tamer Discord put together, and this is not like the official Tamer Discord, although I think it ended up getting put there as well. But it was created by a couple of I think one EU Tamer and then one NA Tamer put it together, and it basically was just collecting feedback from everybody that plays Tamer on like every single skill, what their thoughts are on the skill, how it could be improved, stuff like that. And it's been sent somewhere. I don't know. I don't think it's going to really do much unless it gets translated.
Right.
But I don't know. Like I try not to complain, about what a class can or can't do, and just try to work with what you have and figure out how you can use it as best you can. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know. You asked me how I feel about it in like large scale.
Right.
It's not good, but it's like the classes that are good, are they maybe overtuned and need to be toned back, or does Tamer need to be changed so that it is good? You know what I mean? Because there's other classes that also have similar problems to Tamer. You know what I mean?
So what about in smaller arenas, 3v3, 1v1? Like, how do you feel Tamer Awakening balances?
It's really good. It's top tier. And when I say top tier, I'm talking like top 5.
Yeah.
What
about Succession? Starting
Suck is even better in that scenario, but I would say even worse in the large scale scenario.
Right.
I think it's particularly good. I think it's better 3v3 than it is 1v1, but worse 20v20 than Awakening is.
Right.
Because you can design like whole group strategies around getting like what we call like a pet catch.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, I mean,
We
like,
call it.
okay, so
Everyone else
Succession
calls it.
has.
Everyone else calls it. What the fuck is this shit?
Yeah. Normally, I hear it referred to as fucking bullshit.
It just makes me want to fight you guys over a puddle of water.
that doesn't work anymore. They
Yeah, I know,
finally,
they
after
fixed it.
4
I'm so
years,
depressed about that.
after 4 years, they fixed that shit, dude. Because I would be fighting people at Star's End, and if I had to kite onto the coast a little bit, like I swear to God, my feet are barely touching like damp sand. That
There's
motherfucker's
mud!
gone, dude.
Your pet just falls,
hell.
dude. It's like that scene in The
You just,
Lion
like-
King when the dad falls in the cliff. Your pet just goes down in the mud.
I think lore-wise, they should keep it in because they are ink monsters.
Dude, it must have been
True,
rough
dude.
trying to grind Gahaz back in the day. You have that one rotation that like goes down or whatever, and there's all that
The
like,
little
that
little
water
puddle.
down there.
Gaha.
Yeah,
I don't think Gahaz was that. It was Fogan's that was literally impossible. You literally couldn't grind there.
Fogan's.
oh yeah, Fogans.
Fogan's was impossible, and the lower part of Ackman was impossible.
Yeah, water room.
Yeah.
Um,
So just to answer your question, like there's like very good group strategies like in 3v3 that can be formulated around the pet catch. Now in Succession, and I believe the devs should definitely change this because they already have a precedent for changing it. And like Succession tamers are probably gonna get mad at me for saying this,
mhm.
but I think a lot of them kind of agree with it. Like we have a skill, it's in Awakening and Succession, called Roaring.
Yeah.
And if you're using, I guess the old pre-awakened version, which is what you would use if you were awakened, it roots you in place, and it's completely unprotected, and it's uncancelable. In Succession, it has frontal guard off cooldown, but the cooldown's like 24 seconds, right?
Mhm.
So it's not like we're using the frontal guard basically at all, but it's instantly cancelable into our front flip.
Right.
And it will, in Succession, it will cause the pet to teleport to my location and roar in an AoE stiffness for 3 to 5 seconds. I didn't get a fucking stopwatch yet.
Feels like 3 to 5 minutes, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, here's the deal. Void Lightning, right? The one where the pet turns into a bunch of like darting fucking puddles of ink that goes used to be the same way, where it would stiffen. If used off cooldown,
Right.
or sorry, if used while on cooldown. So you could basically spam it. You could jump to this spot, use it, jump to this spot, and then the dev said, "Oh no, that's crazy."
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna make it so it only works if used off cooldown, right? Like in other words, the skill is available and ready to use. So for Roaring, they have it so that you can just spam it. You can just throw that stiffness out here, throw that stiffness out there. Instantly cancelable, so it's pretty safe, unless you get caught out of WW. And yeah, I think that's nutty that they can just spam up a pet stiffness like that. But then again, it's like, Wizard Succession exists. So is that really super powerful?
yeah.
Guardian exists. Is that really overpowered? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think one of the differences with the Tamer thing, because I agree, like I think it needs to be changed, but it needs to receive like buffs in lieu of the change, right? Like I think it's not, like, even with Wiz Witch and Guardian, like at least there's like a matchup or matchups that can be fun. Like it is, I just don't think it's not fun to fight against a Tamer in any way. That's Succession. And then I don't know.
I agree.
Like,
Yeah, I think that
maybe you could
mechanic
tell
that
me-
I explained is completely used.
Yeah, and I don't know, like even as a Tamer, like is it that fun to play that playstyle where you're kind of run trap?
Nope. It's
Yeah,
not. I don't
like-
think Memo likes it either. Like, even though that's what he does in 3v3, it's effective in 3v3. And here's the thing, like when you do it in like a 3v3 group, the moment you got a catch or you see somebody going into it, he calls that out in comms and you just collapse on that target. 3 people hitting you and you're eating stiffness. You're CC'd for that long with 3 people hitting you, you're dead. And now
Right.
you're 3v2, right? I mean, I've watched like both Yellow and like Mamo do their, because they're on a team together, right? Use their strat, and that strat it really works. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not saying it's perfect. They lose rounds, like they lose to other teams and stuff like that. But I don't know. It just I think it's cheesy.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like I would
Here's what I would do with it.
Mhm.
I would take the roaring cooldown, cut it in half. So instead of 24 seconds, it's 12 seconds, and make it so that stiffness only goes out when it's used on cooldown or off
Right.
cooldown.
I still think it would need you guys would.
But
need
you have to make
something
other
else
changes.
added. Yeah. There'd have to be something else added. But I agree. I'm 100% with you.
And that's the thing. Like I feel like there's bad things about the class, and then they try to compensate for it by giving us some cheesy mechanic. Like right now in Succession, it's roaring. In Awakening, it's the 100%.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like you could reduce a bunch of that stuff. Like one of the things you could do to like our Tamer 100%. Like our Tamer, like Awakened 100%, has 0 crit. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it have 0 crit? It's close to 0 if it's not 0, right? 0 crit and very poor accuracy. So like I'm fighting a Lon yesterday, right? He's like 353 DP.
Yeah.
Awaken Lon. He's actually somebody who used to be in like Red Face a long time ago. He was not in the Red Face that dug. He was in like the very first Red Face.
Okay.
And his name's Chased. He's a good guy. And so I'm fighting him. He is 353 DP, evasion gear with a Sissel's neck, which is giving him like an additional 40-some evasion, right? So he's like 720 evasion target. I Tamer ult him twice to the face. Like every tick lands. Right? The first tick knocks him down. He eats the rest of it. He gets up with like 10% health and walks away, runs away. Evasion counters that ultimate like pretty damn well. It's not pet-based damage, so like pet-based damage is 100% accuracy.
Right.
And the reason he lived is because I did not have absorb up. Like when we absorb, we get 60% crit on everything. You know, plus attack speed, plus I think like 12 or 14 AP, something like that, right? It's a big damage boost. The most of the damage boost though is on the 60% crit, and it's when using skills that don't already have 100% crit.
Right.
So it's like what they could do to sort of level out Tamer ult is they could reduce the damage modifier on it, but give it 100% crit so that it's not totally important to tie to that absorb.
Right.
Right, and you'd have to target the damage so that you're not one-shotting a normal player. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, if you have a bunch of AP, like if you're far more geared, it should scale with your gear, and maybe you should be able to one-shot people at that point. But I feel like there's like a sweet spot to where, you know, it's fair.
So for both specs, let's just talk strictly PvP. Well, I'll talk about PvE in a second, but for both specs, if you could make changes, like positive changes, let's just pretend, for example, the 2 buggy skills are dealt with in this hypothetical, but if you could make a change to Awakening that would benefit Tamer in PvP, what would it be? And same with Succession.
I would make it so that the unprotected frames on our WW evasion are super armor, so we could still be slowed and we could still take damage at the end of them, but we can't be CC'd while using it.
Right.
Increase the stamina cost on them so that it's, you know, I definitely wouldn't want it to get out of hand, right?
You would want to turn into Sork. It's so reasonable, dude. Unlike Sorks, you're so reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, and or make it similar to like the Lawn side dash or like the Mewa Musa dashes.
Right.
To where it has a cooldown and it is super armor while the skill is on cooldown and iframe off cooldown. But completely protected. You know, but we can still take damage in the super armor portions, right? Like that's the idea. I don't want to be invincible.
Right.
And then part of that would be making it so that evasion, like the tumble, could be used in Awakening. And that we don't have to swap pre-Awakening to use it. Like
Right.
kind of like Musa and Meiwa can dash in pre-awaken or awaken. It's the same principle. Lon can still do their side dashes in pre-awaken or awaken. Same idea.
What about pole vault?
And
Are you happy with pole vault? Cloud
no,
ride.
pole vault shit.
Right.
Look, I mean, here's the deal with pole vault, right? Like when they made the change to pole vault, they did it at the same time as they adjusted every class's protected abilities and basically making it so that protected abilities in Awakening did not also CC. And they also gave each class a limited number of protected abilities. Some classes got protected abilities that did great damage, right?
Right.
Our, I guess, 2 protected abilities that they gave us were one's called Leaves, and it's got a flow gust, and that's our little like side dash. It's very similar to like Meiwa's what's it called, Sleet Steps.
Right.
It's like a side dash iframe. So that was one of our protected abilities, and then our other one was Pole Vault, and they took the iframe off of it and made it super armor, but it does no damage. We can't super armor trade with it or anything like that. So if it's going to stay a super armor, I'd like it if it had some real damage to it. But if it's not going, but if they wanted to make it an iframe, keep it like it is to where it has, you can take all the damage away. I don't care. Like it does have a little bit of damage, but like I could do it to you right now and you'd chuckle.
Sleet Step though nowadays is a super armor though.
I knew he was. I was waiting for it.
Oh, is it really? Well,
I was waiting for
I
it.
know Meiwa has an iframe side dash though.
Meiwa's
It's
are boiling.
7-second super armor.
Yeah, it's just super. It used to be an iframe.
Oh, okay, so Sleet Steps is the one that's super armor and has CC on it, though, right? That was kind of like one of the few exceptions.
No, Sleet Steps is the one that literally is just the lateral movement, and it helps you cancel certain things, like Red Moon, for example. But it's just very smooth lateral movement.
You might be
Stigma
thinking of
is the one
Stigma.
that was iframe and had a stiff on it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Which that they did have an iframe on its backward movement. It wasn't actually stated in the tooltip, but it was there. Then they changed it to a super armor as well. So Meiwa.
See, dude, that's why Meiwas need to be nerfed right there.
Yeah.
They already got nerfed.
I mean, I could see that being changed. I don't know. It's like rough as a melee class when you're in a ball and there's damage everywhere and like.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I'm sure you know what it's like as a Meiwa.
Yeah, that's why Meiwas aren't picked for large scale and whatnot nowadays. That's why B Kill's mad at Vert for switching back.
Yeah, I mean,
to be fair, Nayashe, no one's picked for large scale except for Witch, Wizard, Guardian.
Yeah, some
and
classes
some
though can offer
Zerkers.
some utility though. Maybe not castle defense, but in large scale in general.
But
Some classes
so
are-
can
it's much harder with the HP change though. Like these assassin type classes, it's like you got a 2 combo. Like if you meet a witch or a wizard with decent gear, we'll say, I mean, good gear, like my gear, right? Like C9 pen armor.
If they had 10k HP, you can't fucking touch them.
At 10k HP, you have to 2 or 3 combo. Like if that wizard or witch, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna pick this wizard or witch, got him, right? This is where my class shines. It's 1v1. This guy can kill like 5 people in a teleport. Well, this is my chance to get this fucking kill. If he has mana shield up, just put the keyboard down. Just go the other way. Like
that's that's how I am in wars in general lately. Now that everyone has so much gear, like a Wiz Witch with mana shield is hard to pick off.
It's really like
because
really
even in war they have 500 HP in wars too. So.
Here's the deal: you're gonna combo him twice, get him down to 1.5k HP, like 1500 HP, and he's gonna stand up. And because you've just like full comboed him, he has CC immunity. He's gonna start pumping that heal. And he's just gonna heal right in your face. Bop. Oh look, I got all my health back now. What's up? You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
So fuck, dude, what were we talking about?
So yeah, so Cloud Ride, you'd like it either be an
Cloud Ride,
or do a lot of damage, like be a nice engage that actually hurts.
Yeah, or like super armor trade, right? Or okay, if that's off the table, like no. I mean, I would like to point out that what's it called? I even made a Guardian. It's the Phoenix skill.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
starts off
where
as an iframe, yeah, like immediately.
It's an iframe. It's like as soon as they hold their staff out and just start the animation of putting the staff in the ground, they're already in iframe and they're flying away. It's actually better than old pole vault was.
Old pole vault was so fun though.
Yeah, old pole vault was fun.
Such a nice shit button. I mean, I actually feel like the iframe on it would be the most important change, just because that it's one of the reasons why Tamer feels so clunky in large scales. When you do dive in on somebody, you don't have the out.
You can't get out.
Yeah.
You get slowed as soon as you're slowed. Like, by the way, like when I talk about Tamers getting CC'd out of their flips, their WW evasion, it's harder. It's pretty hard to do when a Tamer is at full move speed. Because the iframe portion lasts a certain duration, but if you slow them to where there's longer duration on the unprotected frames at the end, we're like so easy to catch. Like, right. it's like iframe, unprotected, iframe, like I'm talking like we're slow stacked and we're flipping and it's like the Matrix. You know what I mean? Like we can't disengage once we go into a ball. We're gonna eat a slow. Like every class has a fucking slow. Guardians have a slow on every ability that they use now that stacks on top because it's a different like icon. I don't know how they've coded it, but a Guardian slow will stack on top of every other slow in the game. And if you live the Guardian's attack, or you just get clipped in the side, or if you have a good amount of gear like me, you're dead anyway. You're not getting out because you'll be flipping slowly and you'll just get caught. And but no, so like what I was saying, like if like I really think that iframe is important. It would be it's our only reliable disengage. I mean, Guardians of ridiculous class, they get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. If they didn't want to do that, if they said no, everybody in Korea complains about Tamer, and we're not gonna give it that. It'd be way too OP. Then at least fix the skill so that, like, I don't know if you're aware of this. Some Tamers have put videos out on this, like going back to like 2 years ago. The whole like DJ Khaled meme that was like, and another one where you see Tamer's trying to pole vault and just like falling on the ground. If we take damage at the start of the animation or while flying, like I don't know if I'm sure other classes have experienced this too, but if you have like a movement skill that's super armor and you take hits, those hits actually shorten the animation of your super armor, right? Like if you're lava piercing
animation early and causes openings.
The injury animation reduces the distance that you can go. Like if I use legendary beast power, or if a Zerker uses lava pierce and they take a bunch of damage, it will cut your lava piercer short. If you take a lot of damage, it'll cut it in half, right? Like a lot of hits, like a lot of the stutter, I guess you'd call it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that happens to us while we're in the air. It cuts our animation short mid-air, and then we just drop straight down, waving our arms around in a falling animation. We land on the ground, and then do this little like you kind of bend your knees when you land on the ground, and then you kind of get up and recover. You're basically stunned the entire time. Like, and I'm not even like I'm just getting hit by damage. I'm not getting CC'd out of the air because I'm in super armor, right? And I'll just instantly drop and die. Like I've had it to where I'm like, fuck, I need to get out. I've got like 5 people collapsing on me. I stick that pole in the ground. I'm like, okay, this is super armor. I should be safe. I start going up into the air and I don't even start to launch. And I just go into falling animation and just land right back down on the ground. They need to fix that at least. Like if they don't want to make it iframe, which would fix it because then you don't have stutter because you're not taking damage. At least make it so that the super armor works.
Doesn't get the stutter animations, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of a super armor is that we'll take damage, but we can still move. We can still have control of our character, right?
Right.
Yeah, but this affects that control.
Exactly.
Nope.
Yeah.
I've complained about that. I've actually made video on that bullshit before.
I still feel like, I don't know, I've been saying this for a while now, because that kind of thing is an issue. Well, the movement thing is one thing, but the falling animation in general should just be removed from the game unless you're like literally falling from like 6 stories, 5 stories. Like I don't even think if it's not higher than the RBF fall, like from the entrance down to the ground, there shouldn't even be a fall animation. Like even in that instance, you shouldn't get a falling animation. Like not
Right,
when you
yeah.
land. Not I mean we're like even just like lore wise, you're like these powerful beings that have like all this crazy movement and like I was a character length above the ground and now my legs hurt and I have to recover. It's like, what
Yeah,
the fuck?
exactly.
Yeah, falling in, I don't even understand it. Like maybe there's something exploitable, but I just think there shouldn't even really be fall animation unless you fall really, really far. Just the damage is enough.
Right.
By the way, Shane, yeah, just be glad it's not the other way around for your like being hit in your super armors. What happens to Zerker in Predatory Hunt is it actually extends the duration of the skill. So we basically end up like stunning ourselves because the animation just never ends and we just sit there in midair like I'll land eventually, I guess.
Predatory Hunt, that's the Goomba Stomp, right?
Yeah, that's the big jump thing.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking miserable. Yeah, I have had Lava Piercer do that to me too, where it'll like if you use it in like a group and get hit a bunch, it will actually like shorten like how far you go, which is always very frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if there's another class that lengthens the duration of your shit. I think Predatory Hunt might be the only one, which is weird.
Yeah, it's just a weird coding issue.
It's really weird, man. I don't get it. It's weird how it does that.
Yeah, I mean, and on that whole pole vault thing, like Zerker actually used to have the same problem when they would use what's it called, Rocket Back,
Giant Leap.
Giant Leap. When they would use Giant Leap and they'd take damage, they would go into falling animation, and they fixed it for Zerk.
That's fucked
and
up.
It was in the patch notes. Same thing used to happen with Striker when they do like their you can and like into the punch and then the ground slam. If they would get hit too much while doing all that,
they still get fall animation. That one wasn't fully fixed. Although it's not, I don't know if it's necessarily like being hit related, but yeah, Strikers still like in BA if they fight on that hill and they use Twisted Collision into Nimbus, sometimes they'll get falling animation, which I know triggers them.
Beyond that movement and utility aspects with the stutter animations from being hit, there is an offensive benefit, I guess you could say, or sometimes a negative, depending on what's happening. But basically, it speeds up your animations, even attack animations, so you can actually burst people really quickly with skills that normally wouldn't go that fast. I've done that on a number of occasions.
Right, yeah, like while using like attack abilities that are
notorious, like it happens like on the regular. It's very notorious when you're fighting witch wizards and they're doing AoEs and the AoEs are hitting you, but they're not CC AoEs, they're just like damage SA AoEs. So you're just like fucking all your animations get sped up.
Right. Well, I mean, like I haven't like you're SA trading, right? On Meiwa? Most of the time?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes. Most of my abilities are like Red Moon that I try to trade, or Sticky Snowflake, since I'm Succession. Those are the main SA abilities that I'm utilizing to SA trade with. Other than that, everything else is fairly unprotected.
Actually, did you watch any of Blue's stream of the tournament the other day, out of curiosity?
Blue stream?
Yeah, whenever we did the 3v3 tournament and Blue was casting it, he was streaming it.
No, I was watching Yellows.
So he said whenever, I think it was the first fight you did, he's like, it's always so interesting watching, I'm paraphrasing of course, he's like, it's always so interesting watching Nayashe fight, because obviously I play mostly in KR, and in KR, basically all Mooses and Maywas do is run away and stub arrow. So to see like a really aggressive Maywa is always really interesting to me.
And that's it. In fucking KR, they just have a very passive kind of play style. They don't utilize their kit to the fullest.
An aggressive person, really, in general.
I mean, it gets me caught and killed. I'm not going to deny that, but they're playing like super safe. And I just don't think that's how the class was intended to play. And that's what's going to cause it to get people to complain about the Chase stub arrow playstyle that they did, and that's why Chase got nerfed originally.
Yeah. And also, not to get too far off topic, but I forgot to tell you guys this earlier. I did ask Blue if people in KR believe Sork is weak, and he said no, that's not true at all. People in KR think Sork is pretty strong.
Yeah, I don't know where that meme came from.
Well, KR thinks that Sork is really weak. They're just bullshitting. They don't know what they're talking about. Dude. I got it from a man who plays in KR himself. He said that is not true.
Right.
Yeah, they definitely don't think that. It's just
I would say Sork's only weakness is their mobility.
In like a line or like running, right? Like distancing.
Yeah, they can't catch people very well.
Yeah, right. like if you decide you don't want to fight them, you don't have to fight them.
You have to clarify because you're gonna tilt people. You say mobility, they're like, wait, literally the class that moves around so much and you can't ever touch them.
So they're not the
like long distance running. I'm still convinced the best long distance runner in the game is a fucking witch wizard. You throw up that blue ball, you put on speed spell, you put your weapons away, and just jog, and you're faster than every other class in the game.
Dude, I yesterday we were against a snipe on a T2s, or not a snipe, but I think they said they were a T1 guild just wanting to try T2s or something, so they were like very low gear. But the Zerker res, and I chased him as best as I could, like target chase, like ankle cut, everything off cooldown, 10 and cut. I could not catch the Zerker, so Zerker's faster than Kuno. So Nash, I need you to start complaining about Zerkers.
I can't catch Choice. Yeah. When the other day I fought him on Arsha.
If a Zerker wants to get away from you, they can. Like...
yeah, especially if they just do a quick devastation while you're trying to encroach on them, and then they land slow, and then they just run off and dart off. You can't fucking stop them.
Especially if they have their click to move down and they can properly click to move their backwards giant leap and their moving shot, they can absolutely get away from you if they want to.
Right.
So nerf Zerker, that's what I heard.
I want to talk about Succession. So what is Succession missing for you? Because I know a lot of tamers are pretty unhappy with Succession just in general. So yeah, kind of what's missing in Succession for you, Shade?
Our mobility, I would say no mobility, but our like
you need leap shot.
You guys have a worse version of what you already do.
You need a side scoot. Like even if it's just SA, I feel like that shit is like you immediately feel uncomfortable on. At least I did.
Well, I mean that goes back to what I said earlier about changing our flips, our evasion. Like we actually have a side flip in both directions, but no tamers use it because it has more unprotected frames than our front flip.
Yeah,
it's like 50-50.
It's like
whereas like
step, right? On Mystic.
Our front flip is something like 90-10. But our side flips are like 50-50. It's like very little iframe at the beginning and then completely unprotected. So if they just adjusted the protection, like maybe gave it 50% iframe and then the last portion be super armor, or like I said, similar to like the lawn dashes, give it a cooldown and then make it super armor off cooldown and iframe, or super armor on cooldown, iframe off cooldown, and have it apply to those side flips. I think that's that, and then the lack of a frontal guard.
S block. Do you think it needs S block?
Yes, I do. You can't really give it a Q block because Q is used for something else in pre-awaken, but an S block would be fair.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is all in theory with the stiffness being removed, or not removed, but on a cooldown of roaring. The current
12 second cooldown, and you'd still be able to alternate Void Lightning,
right? And
that every 6 seconds, if you 6.5 seconds, if you voided and then used roaring 6 seconds later.
Anything with damage or catches? Do you feel like Succession Tamer has catches that are good?
Because of the pet spam, yeah. Our grab is really good, but I don't feel like we really have other catches. What does a warrior do, right? Like a warrior is a good example. Like they
got their solar
Edge
flare.
Solar Flare,
Right.
Overwhelm, or something like that, right? And you can get all three of those off in like 5-10 frames. It's like really fast. Like Tamer used to have a really good catch when our Moonlight stiffened, but it's a super armor, so it can't do both anymore, right?
Right.
But we have other skills, right, that are CCs that they're unprotected skills, but you're not going to try to use them to CC because you're like 25, 30 frames in before the CC goes off. And Mamo counted it exactly. He gave me the figures, right? Like I was talking to him for a long time about it. So it's like, it's kind of similar to like I'll give a good example of it. Another good example, right? I gave the Warrior example, which might have been like incorrect because I don't play Warrior, but I think that's it. Something like, a Head Chase, Solar Flare, Overwhelm for the float, right? It's Sork, right? Like Sork's Engulfing Shadow or like Shadow Eruption. They're both unprotected skills, but the CC is like on the second frame, first or second frame. It's like instant that they can iframe, Engulfing or Shadow Eruption, and then iframe again, cancel it. And because it comes out so early, you're not actually canceling the CC. If I tried something like that on Tamer, like iframe, Vermilion, iframe, Vermilion's unprotected, and I would have to sit in Vermilion for like maybe half a second before that first CC even hits. And a half a second unprotected like that is an eternity.
Yeah.
So, like, as far as catches, if you want to see Tamers using anything other than grab, which is basically our most reliable catch, the only frustrating thing about it as a catch is you need to make sure you're dead on with it, because if you miss that grab, you're probably dead or getting caught yourself, which is fair. Grab should be high risk, high reward. I just wish like desync was a little more forgiving. It feels like in the last like half a year or so, like a miss grab is throwing me into my full grab animation as if I grab the target. There's two different animations. If you miss a grab, you kind of stick your arm out. If you get the grab, you go into the grab animation. You basically kick the person in the face or whatever. So a lot of times I'll do the full grab animation, but the guy's definitely dashed out of it. It's like, just give me the miss grab animation instead, because that's slower or that's quicker, and I can get safer quicker again. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like server sync. I feel like
it's gotten worse over the last year.
It's definitely gotten worse in the last 6 months. Or maybe I just started dueling a lot more in the last 6 months, and it was always there. I don't know.
No, I noticed it too. Like, I only played Tamer for a little while, kind of recently, Awakened Tamer. But like back in the day, like I don't even remember that happening very much at all. Even on the old, like I made Tamer back in the least web servers, so like even then I didn't remember that happening that much. And the most recent time I played Tamer, I was like, dude, what? Why does it always show me that I succeeded the grab? Because when you roll back to the class after like a really long time, it's even worse because I see that animation, I commit to the next thing, like not knowing any better.
I commit straight into Bolt Jolt, right?
Yeah, and then it gets you CC'd.
But then it's like, oh no, the target is actually behind you and you're stiffened and on the ground. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. What about PvE? For both Succession and Awakening, how is Tamer in PvE? I know it's getting buffed soon, so we'll see how that is. And Mamo said it looks like kind of promising, but in the current state, how's Awakening and Succession PvE? And then after you elaborate on that, what you think of the changes that are coming.
Right. So obviously I've only ever played Tamer, so this is just from the viewpoint of somebody who plays Tamer and has played it and only it for 4 years. It used to be really good because we used to be able to double pull mobs. We used to be able to pull 7 and 7, so we'd be able to pull 14 mobs at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It became worse, and I couldn't even tell you because I wasn't out there with a calculator or spreadsheets or anything like that. Like, oh, is it better than this class or that class? But it felt good, right? I was able to pull a lot of mobs. At a place like Histria, that's very important. Just being able to grab a lot of mobs and then burst them down. Then that got changed to basically normalize it for basically every class, so that every class can pull. I want to say like
more than 7.
9?
Now 10.
More than 10. Is it 10 on every class though? Because I know like
almost every class.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is on Tamer. 7 for the character, 3 for the pet. Witch Wiz, it's like 7 for the Witch Wiz and like 3 for the fucking Red Orb, or maybe it's 2 for Red Orb and 1 for the pet if you have a pet. I don't remember exactly, but after that, I don't know. I feel like it just kind of got worse. I can't tell you exactly why. I mean, okay, so that's 4 less mobs that we can kill. I feel like we were kind of on par at that point. But then when everybody else was kind of able to pull the same amount of mobs, like the amount of damage that we were doing in PvE just wasn't cutting it. And it's not... I guess you could say, okay, damage modifiers, but I don't think that's all the story. I think the other part of the story is the size of our AoE. It's like really small. Like Bolt Jolt is like 1 to 2 feet around the character.
Yeah.
All of our weekend stuff is now. All of that's changing. Bolt Jolt is getting a much, like they're probably tripling the size of the radius of Bolt Jolt.
Mm-hmm.
And the skill that they're changing the most is like, and I'm actually glad that they picked this skill to change, is Beast Rampage, because it's something that no tamers use. It's 488% times 7.
Right.
So they're upping that. They're basically increasing the damage on that skill by about 70 to 80% altogether.
They're also, is that the one of the awakening skills is also becoming 360 AoE? No,
it's that one.
It's that one. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I actually always liked that skill. It's sad it doesn't do damage. 'Cause it's kind of a cooler animation. It's like an all-around spinner with shit damage and no AoE.
Exactly. Like, actually, like, regarding that one skill, that skill, it takes 2 seconds for the entire skill to come out. Like 1, 2, and it's like bop, 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 right? The first hit bounds, and the last hit floats, and that is annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, if they could do anything with that skill, it would be, like, I would like it if they just made it a super armor skill that had no CC on it. Because that's kind of one of the things we lack in, more group-oriented fights is when we grab a target, we don't really have much safe damage that we can put out. And I'm not trying to break the rules. I don't want to keep CC and super armor on it. I just want the CC gone and super armor. But if they didn't want to do that, at least just take the bound away and just give us the float at the end. You know what I mean? Like,
agreed.
If we use it on a single, like if I stiffen a target and then I go right into that skill, I've now just burned both of my CC charges in 2 seconds time.
So you think with the Awakening PvE changes coming, it'll be more comparable to what other classes are getting at high-end spots?
I was looking, like, we definitely have the longest list of changes on that Global Lab patch.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hopeful. But it's actually, like, I don't know. I don't play other classes, so, I only have my viewpoint.
Right.
But I've heard other tamers say that they think that Tamer is pretty much the worst high-end PvE class in the game. Right. When I say high-end, I guess I mean, like, anything Histria up, right? Like Histria stars, underwater.
So what are you getting at underwater? Have you kept track? What's like
I get
a good hour?
If I'm going to try hard with just a regular loot scroll, I'm getting 3738. Disclaimer: I do not have 2 corrupted crystals in the offhand because doesn't work very well for an evasion build in PvP.
Right.
If you already have enough damage.
Yeah.
So I think if I had double corrupteds, right now I just run like a regular 10% crit gem, but if I had double corrupteds, that will put me at 22% crit. Extra crit damage, and I think think he'd probably look at maybe 100 to 200 more trash.
Right.
You know, and I don't know. I fought a Sork the other day. You know, we started messing around underwater, and then we took it to BA, and then I asked him like, how much trash do you get underwater? He's like 282 Kudum, and he gets like 5,500 with a loot, with a regular loot.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
just, and
a
I've heard
little
Heaton. I heard Heaton say the same thing. Like he thinks Sork is the best underwater grinder. But I've also heard Divio say that he thinks that Succession Striker is the best underwater grinder.
What's the
And-
trash per hour?
5,500.
Wow. At what
Yeah.
AP?
282 Kudum.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
There's some people that are
I'm-
talented.
Dual pulls in around.
I always
Like I'm pulling 3738, and I'm 297 Kudum.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's pretty bad. But I hear, I don't know. There's like some people that are dead. I'm so bad at grinding. Every time I watch a video on a class I play that's grinding and I see the trash per hour and I literally can never achieve it, even though I have more AP than the person in the video, it like it tilts me. Like, dude, what is
Now,
this person do?
I always do subpar in comparison. I pull 44 to 4,500 in Sakurai, but I've only done it a little limited amount of time.
Because there's a couple videos of Tamer's Awakening getting over 4K, like 4.3 and 4.4.
The one that I saw, like the Russian, there's
Yeah,
like a Russian who posts.
that Russian guy. Yeah, I've seen that one. He's 4.6, right?
He was getting just under 4, and he was running a perfume, and or just maybe just at 4, like definitely not 4.1. And this was Awakening. This was his first video.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did another video in succession getting 4.3.
Interesting.
And then Risey from EU, he gets, I think, around 4.4. He's actually, believe it or not, a little more geared than I am. He's basically full pen, like accessories and everything, although he's running narcs over distos.
Damn.
Right.
But he's still more AP than me overall. He probably has double corrupteds in the offhand, which I need to look at doing for just, if I'm in a PvE. I mean, right now I'm farming the pot, so I'll probably be on this for over a month or so. But he said he gets like 4.4 to 4.7, I think, something like that. I need to ask him again. I don't remember. He was in my stream the other day, and I asked him. But that's Succession, which we know that Succession is a little bit better, but not a whole lot better.
Right.
And
Not enough to justify it because of the mechanics are not as good for defending your spot.
yeah, well, I'm pretty sure he could defend his spot. I think Succession is fine. You know, 1v1. You know, I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I've had like little to no experience versus him. I can't find any. Can't find Tamers, but then even worse, Succession Tamers.
Yeah, true. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like the lack of an on-demand block, and I don't know. I'm in love with pole vault. Like
Yeah, Tamers
it's
always had that problem
situational.
with pre-awakening skills, no actual block.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, our awakening really felt like it made the class complete. You know, as a melee class, we went from not having a block, you know, to not really
gaps you guys had.
Yeah, it took care of a lot of the things that were kind of like, you could say, like lacking in the class. And then you go back to Succession, and they've replaced some of that with like some bigger AOE, and you know, like the pet roaring cheese, and it's just, I don't know, it's not fun. Like, oh, another thing that I'd like to say, and so, some people might disagree with me on this, but I really dislike the quote feature unquote of the pet randomly CCing a target.
Yeah. Dude,
it's like
it just
I've
does
always
like
said-
a knockdown behind their guard or something like that.
I've always
well,
said
here's
this too.
the thing, right?
Wait,
Yeah,
let me give a guess on this, because I've always said this back when I played Tamer and fighting against Tamer. I hated the pet CC because if I'm dueling a friend, that I get no satisfaction in me being on the ground and my pet is randomly attacking my friend and CCs him and I get up and kill him. Like I don't know, it's like it doesn't feel like the same as if I just didn't get caught and I CC. You know what I mean? I don't know. At least that's how I always felt about it. It's like so RNG too.
Right. Yeah, it's like it's just the computer deciding. You know, I'm sure the computer has like cycles through skills on the pet for him to use, and you just happen to get the right one at the right time. Now that said, though, like it is on the player to a degree to know that the pet can do that. Right. But I don't like it as a feature, and I feel like that's kind of one of the factors that they use when considering tamer balance is, oh, well, the tamer can do this. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not a fun mechanic for the player, right? Like for me, like you said, like it's not a gratifying
it's not
win.
In your control.
Yeah, exactly. Now, like there are some cases, right, like where I precast void, and there's always a delay from when the pet comes out and actually does the void animation. I'll precast void, then get CC'd. They'll start comboing me, and then the pet void catches them. I'm fine with that because I did that. You know what I mean? I precasted void. He didn't notice the animation, and he got caught.
That's different though. That's a zoning technique.
Well, there's a couple things. There's two different types of people from each side. There's the complainer that's like every time they get CC'd by a tamer, no matter what catches them, they're like, oh, your pet got me. And it's like, no, like I set the trap, or I used howling and I got you legitimately. That was on you. And then there's also the tamers that are like, no, my pet didn't CC you. I CC'd you when like clearly they were on the ground or something. You know, it's like it goes back and forth, but yeah, that's why it just causes nothing but grief for everybody. Yeah. The pet CC thing.
I just always found it pretty cancerous, like mid combo against a tamer. The pet just does one of those cycle skills and CCs you. It's just like, really?
Maybe they should reduce it to only one ability can CC, and when it happens, put a little red circle like before. It's like a boss attack. So they know it's coming.
I don't know that you make that complicated. Like every tamer that I've talked to has just said get rid of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think you just get rid of it. And
amongst other changes that fix it, yeah.
Yeah,
you just got a Marnie research box. What the fuck is this?
Where are you?
Blood Wolves.
Yeah, hopefully you won't have to use the whole thing before you get the piece, but you're going to open it, and you get 50,000 Blood Wolf kills, and you basically get an accessory box.
Huh. Interesting.
Weird the things you get when you grind, huh, Nayashe?
I don't get these things because I don't grind.
Hey, just think, Nayashe, as soon as you get that infinite pot, you'll never have any need to grind or make money in the game ever again because you won't even need to buy potions.
Exactly. That's the whole reason for my silver grind. Those RBF pots.
Yeah, they're expensive at 1 silver a piece.
No, dude, I run through all my silver that I farmed the entire week. Matter of hours.
But no, I think you get rid of that, and I think you just get rid of it. It's something that I don't control. It's like, you know, the computer just deciding, oh, I guess I'm going to save the player this time and screw this other player over.
Right. I like the idea of, or maybe even replacing it with more user-controlled stuff. Like I liked the change they did to howling. I think that was a really cool change.
Yeah, I think it's a good change too, for sure. I don't like once you use howling though. There's no cancel for it other than pet absorb.
Yeah.
Like we have a command, like it's called come.
Yeah.
Where your character basically waves their hand like come here, and then you'll see a little text bubble come out and says here. And in every other case, it will TP the pet back to you and kind of put you back in control. But if you use howling, the pet's he's going to do the entire howling animation unless you absorb. That's the only thing that'll stop him.
Right. All right, so I just have 2 more questions. If Nayashe or Rez have stuff, then feel free to add in. But my first one is, do you still like Tamer? Do you ever think about re-rolling, or are you with that class for life?
I'm probably with it for life right now. At this point, anyways, unless I don't know, we'll see. I did make a ninja. Like I was like Ninja Succession came out, and it was just like. Len rerolled to Ninja. Ninjas are just fucking killing everybody. And I had a 61 Ninja that I was like, yeah, but fuck it, dude. This is gonna be it. I'll learn from Cooler and then like like I was grinding Star's End because I needed to make money, and Ninja was actually far better than my Tamer was at it, even with Tet weapons, because I kept the weapons on my Tamer.
Right.
And the short sword is the same, right? So,
Right.
and that's all that really counts for succession, right? So, I was, I was pretty bad. I'm still bad on Ninja, and every time somebody would duel me for spot, I'd swap characters, like a scumbag. So, I don't know. I couldn't get away from Tamer, and I don't know. I'm kind of. I feel like re-rolling is too inconvenient, and it puts me too far outside my comfort zone. Having to learn a new class, at my age, you're a slow learner. Shit's gonna take me like 3 months to get good at. It's like I was just like, nah, I'm just gonna go back on Tamer. And then I did the same thing with Guardian, basically, in a nutshell. Just more convenient now to continue playing the class. And I really, it's like I kind of made it sound like I kind of, I guess I have to play the class. I do enjoy the class. It's a fun class to play. Like, I was arguing with some of the Snake boys, and they're like, some of them are like, why are you still playing that class? And Prudo kind of stuck up for me a little bit. He was like, hey, because Prudo played Tamer for a long time, like a good year and a half or something like that. And he was just like, Tamer is a really fun class. And that is true. It is a fun class to play, for sure. So,
I can remember
and
with Maewa, it wasn't meta for a long time. Still
but it was
technically
fun.
isn't.
Yeah,
But it's fun. Yep.
exactly.
Especially Succession. Oh my gosh, so
I
much more
think
rewarding.
I think that I don't know. I play this game to have fun. I don't play this game to satisfy, a guild requirement and stuff like that. And I'm pretty fortunate to be in Snake on this class, although I am, on defense. I'm actually in charge of the Snake defense team, and I get yelled at sometimes. I don't know if if you guys are watching the Barcode Siege where fucking Truth went off on me because I don't know, somebody forgot to pull an elephant out of the elephant nursery. Or to start an elephant nursery or something like that, and I was off trying to kill a cannon spotter or something. But the only reason, like, people have asked me, like, how are you in Snake? You play Tamer, and I just say, actually, they've asked me on stream quite a bit, and I just tell them the truth. Like, I joined Snake before it was a siege guild, and where they're not kicking people because they didn't decide to re-roll to the this class or that class.
Right.
And just naturally over time, the people they've recruited primarily Witch and Wizard, and not
Filled out
recruited
the roster to be what it is today.
Exactly. And I'm just a relic from a time long gone.
My last question is who PvP wise your favorite Tamer? Who's the best Tamer in your opinion?
And why is it Mamo?
It's probably Mamo. Mamo's good, dude. He's like super solid. I really like him. I really liked Len back in the day, although he doesn't play anymore.
Oh, he quit? Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, he
What
quit.
about Balance when it was during his era?
Yeah, Balance was super entertaining to watch, especially his whole like beat me in a best of 5 and I give you mod in my chat or something. That was actually fun to watch because you get all those people trying to do that.
Wasn't Balance like a kid also?
He's not a kid anymore. He's in college now. But yeah, like back then, and we were talking like 3 years ago now. So
yeah,
he was like a junior and then maybe a senior in 2018.
Yeah.
And then he quit.
There was always the joke that when there was some rumor about them making an adult only type channel and then a channel for like kids. So
we
not
actually
a channel but like a different server. We're like, oh, Balance is gonna be good.
We specifically locked Balance out of NSFW because we didn't want like some kind of like you can't share like you can't show minors porn like.
Yeah, for me, Mamo's probably the best, but I actually really liked watching Len just because he was hyper aggressive, even in matchups where like normally Tamers aren't. which I thought was
see,
fun to watch.
that's like I vicariously was aggressive through Len because I don't know if you've ever seen me fight, but I'm super passive. Like I'm probably the most passive tamer I know, and it's good against classes that don't have grabs because you frustrate the shit out of them. And I think that's why I consider that I do quite well in Sork. In fact, Mamo even said at one point, like, yeah, I like watching Shade fight Sorks because that's one of my weaker matchups, or one of the matchups that I don't do so well at, and that I'm very, very good at. I also have the DP to do this. You have to have DP to be able to live like to super armor Sork damage.
Yeah.
But like I play very passively. I drain. Like if I'm fighting a Sork, I try to keep them moving, keep them iframing so that they're becoming stamina depleted, and I can usually time it or tell by how they move that they're running out of stamina. Like they'll back up and they'll go for the Dream of Doom, and they'll wait for that whole animation and recover stam as they, stuff like that. But yeah, no, it's Mamo. Other good tamers, like really good tamers, Kiv Beta, Spaghetti. I'm gonna miss somebody, dude, and they're gonna DM me.
Do you remember a tamer? This is like this is when I first started
Oh.
playing. Way back in the day, a tamer named
Go.
Ninja Dust.
Yes, I remember Ninja Dust.
Dude,
He used to do a lot of the Black Spirit League. Back in the day.
So he was like, this is like back in the day when I was still like new to the game, but I remember we would go to like, everyone would go to BA, and he would be in there. Like he was in a guild called Paper Pirates at the time, but we would be in there, and he would just be running through a King of the Hill for like 2 hours before like losing. It was absurd. Like this is old pre-CC days. I don't know. That dude was so good. I don't know what happened to him or if he still plays, but I remember just back then I was like, God, this guy is insane.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's really good. I actually missed that. I knew he was a good tamer, but I didn't really see too much of him, other than like the BSL stuff that he would do. And yeah, I really think they need to activate the competitive arena type scene. Even if they can't get it like on a queue and stuff like that, they need to get BSL going again. And I think they should do a geared and trial version of each.
Yeah.
And for the trial version, they need to fix the
main hand.
The main hand to have 20% ignore res.
I hate trial characters for that reason.
It's terrible, man. Yeah. It's the only thing where I'm just like, man, I know some people hate the whole like using full gear because a lot of people complain about pay to win or people are just so far ahead, but it's like the resistance thing is so absurd. Like in 3v3 you can kind of get away with it. 2v2 it starts feeling bad. 1v1 it's just horrible. Like really horrible. I don't know. I think
that's something that might be so workable about the whole Succession Tamer roaring spam is the pet is putting the CC out in that case. The same case with Void Lightning. And I think it's like 100% ignore res. You're not resisting any of that CC. Or at least I've never seen anybody resist a Void.
I think it just hits so often. I think it just actually ticks and procs so much that it's hard to not get CC'd if you go into it.
Right. Well, it can't tick too fast because you can triple stiffen somebody in 1 second, right?
Right.
Like if 3 people stiffen somebody at the same time, and you'll CC cap him like instantly.
Shade, I have good news, man. Us over here, me, Frosty, Nayashe, have teamed up with Yellow to make sure that there's a tournament going on every single month. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, join
awesome.
NA Duelist Discord.
Man,
I'll be doing the cancer 1v1 called Corona Cup.
Yeah, so
okay.
Last month was Yellow's 3v3. That was the first one. This month is me and Frosty doing 2v2s, and then next month is Nayashe doing 1v1s, and then it just rotates again, basically.
Yeah, it should be cool.
That sounds very good. I'm definitely. I don't know. Like I've been telling myself.
If you go to Yellows, it's rigged and he wins. So,
Yellow only wins because he's Mamo carried.
Dude,
I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
Whoa.
No, I'm just a Mamo fanboy.
I think Yellow and Mamo are General Moore's carry, dude. I don't know if you watched that tournament. Dude, Moores is a freaking god on Archer. It's nuts.
He's really
is,
good.
though.
Dude, he's so good. All right. I think we can move on from. Yeah, go ahead.
One more person I forgot to mention. He doesn't stream, but Lox is an exceptional tamer.
Yeah, Lox is really, really good. He's a BA rat.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's we don't have a whole lot outside of Tamer stuff.
We really just have there's PvP Awakening changes coming, but we don't know what they are, so look forward to that.
Yeah,
Really?
they announced on Global Lab that they're going. So they said, yeah, we did the PvE stuff. That was a priority. It just hit KR, and the next thing they're going to do is PvP on Awakening to bring it up. And they specifically mentioned catches, escapability, and damage.
Okay.
They were vague, but whatever. So
Yeah,
PvP
but they hit a
changes.
hit a lot of topics with that, even though they were vague. So that's kind of
Yeah.
exciting and scary at the same time.
Exciting and scary. So Silent Chat says, sounds like a Sork buff to me.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know, man. I hope it's. I mean, they don't. I still don't even think they need to do that much to Awakening to make some of them like more on par with Succession, because that was what they brought up, Shade, in the post, was that they know that Succession feels more powerful and they want to bring Awakening up to that level in PvP as well. So
Right. I mean, I don't know,
also
dude.
said the OP abilities they'd nerf down a little bit from Succession.
Oh, okay. Right on. Fuck, dude.
yeah, it'd be cool, man. Maybe they'll give Tamer Pet, just the pet, more mobility and more CCs.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like a lot of tamers like to talk about, oh, the pet's such a key part of our our class, and I wish the pet could do this better and that better. I'm okay with that as long as it's like on command, right? If it's like a player controlled thing, like I use
Right.
X ability and the pet's follow up is faster, right? Because certain abilities have certain automatic pet follow up response that are sort of like almost like a flow to that ability, right? But in terms of like just the pet autonomous, how would you say that? Autonomously, just doing its own shit better. I mean, I don't really care too much about that. Like it's the computer doing that, right?
I think I agree. I think it would be pretty cool, like from a combo standpoint, where you're like mid combo, you can pick and choose what abilities the dog uses in conjunction with yours. So, for example, if you want to use the dog CC because your CCs are for some reason on cooldown from a 1vx, you can do that and still keep comboing, doing your damage abilities in between the dog CCs. That would give a lot more complexity and depth to Tamer combat.
Right. Yeah. I kept like going when I was talking about like taking away the pet CC. Like one of the reasons, like I said, like just take it away completely. Another reason it's not beneficial or that it's annoying is if I'm comboing, like I could grab somebody and start like bolt jolting and comboing, and like depending on how the pet's sort of lined up his random attacks, because grab and bolt jolt don't have any kind of pet follow up. The pet can kind of just be doing whatever he wants to, whatever the server basically tells him to do. He can like do a knockdown before I get to pull off my second
Yeah.
C. So he can like completely fuck up combos too.
I think he should just do like random auto attacks that just deal damage.
That's
based
a
on
little bit of
how-
damage, and
Yeah, nothing crazy, but maybe like kind of like almost like a flow of sorts. Now, this is like obviously probably something PA wouldn't do, but
well,
this
he
is
already
'cause
does.
This is
that
more of like
with
restructuring the whole system between the tamer and the pet. But like for example, how I envision it is like almost like you're dog piling someone with you and your pet, like while comboing them. So it's like you're beating on them with the stick if you're in Awakening or in Succession, and then your dog's just like jumping in there like doing whatever. If it's damage, some cool animation ability that kind of acts like a flow of sorts off of your skill, but it's like from your pet, it's automatic.
what you said though is exactly how it is for most of our abilities. Not every ability. Like for example, we grab Bolt Jolt, and then usually a lot of us, I mean, depending on the tamer, there's like a zillion different combos you can use, right? But you can Bolt Jolt into All Around Spinner, and All Around Spinner has pet damage follow up that's automatic, and it's pretty good. Right?
Yeah, so they do it in some instances.
Same with like Vermilion and White Tiger and stuff. There's like nice pet.
Yeah, Vermilion,
pet
White
follow-up
Tiger, Beast Rampage has pet follow up. Whiplash. I mean, a lot of different skills. The only I would say.
I guess I don't notice it because it always seems like the pet just does its own thing while they're comboing me.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you ever get a chance to fight me, I always, when I'm dueling people, I always put the pet on follow. So the pet will not do anything other than stay close to my side or use like follow up damage from like kind of like what you were talking about, right? Like a flow. Like I start beating on them with the stick, and the pet has like an automatic response to that. Yeah. And I do that for a couple of reasons. A, you can actually utilize the pet as a like a target lock, right? Like for example, if I'm fighting a Kuno, their ankle cutter, the pet will be like a magnet for their ankle cutter.
Yeah.
In archers, same shit. Like if I keep that pet between me and the archer, like the archer is gonna be like, my targeting.
Yeah, the auto aim assist is getting fucked. It happens with my sub arrow too, and the pet's standing right in front of the fucking tamer.
Yeah.
That's why you just Q buff and blow up the tamer and the pet. It's easy.
Zerker style.
Yeah, that Q buff, that shit knocks my pet down.
Yeah. Have you ever played Shade, have you ever played Blade and Soul?
I did not. I was actually thinking of going to that game from SWTOR. Before I came to BDO.
That was the bridge between BDO and like every other game I played before. I had like a brief stint with Blade and Soul, but they had a pet class in the game called the Summoner that
I've seen streams.
Yeah, it was a cheesy like bullshit class that everyone hated, and it was like wildly overpowered back when I played the game, but it had really awesome, and I don't know if it would even work in BDO, but it had really awesome pet controls where you'd have the pet doing auto attacks that didn't have CCs. They'd be close to the target or always at the target, and you could manually control with keybinds its attack patterns, while you're also fighting and controlling your character. And it was really intuitive, like surprisingly intuitive. And I was like, so when I came over to BDO, my first impression of the game, because I wanted to play that, I wanted to play Tamer. That was the first class that I was like super into, and I was just like, dude, this pet sucks. What, this is horrible compared to, I mean, before I understood like anything about the game, I was like, this is so bad compared to like Blade and Soul pet. But
right.
Dude, I actually, whenever video was coming out, I actually wanted to play Tamer. I was like, dude, you get this like fucking pet, this shit looks sick as fuck. And then I literally got to the character creation, and I was like, wait, I have to play a lolly girl? Yeah, I'm gonna just do Zerker, I guess.
Yeah, no gender lock classes, and like not really a whole lot of like I mean, there's a lot of physical customization, right? But certain classes, like a Shy is never gonna be like
a grown old man. It should be an old man.
Or so a Shy's never gonna look older than 10, right?
Right.
Dude, I don't know. Have you gone in the cash shop and looked at that mustache you can get on a Shy? Makes him look pretty old.
True.
All right, so here we usually do comments. We go through and read all the comments people posted from last week. They can literally be about anything. You're welcome to stay and join us, but we like to give our guests an out if they want one. But if you're not busy, you're welcome to join us and chime in on stuff people are saying.
Hell yeah, dude.
Totally
I'll
up to
stick
you. And then before we get all the way to the end, we'll plug your stuff at the end. But right now, where can people find you? You stream, and do you have a YouTube channel and stuff, or where's the best place for people to find you?
I don't have a YouTube channel. I'm a horrible like video editor. I tried downloading some free video editing software like 2 years ago and never figured out how to use it. But I do stream. Twitch.tv/shade, just shade twice, basically.
Okay.
And that's where you can find me.
All right. Rose and Ash, did you guys have anything else before we move to comments?
Nope.
All right.
No, I think that's.
JB. So last week, for context, we had Dead GG on. Talked about Lon returning to the game, how he's life skilling the PV buffs that are coming, Bandwave and stuff. So JB123 says, I came back after Cameron Part 1 first came out. Oasis is a fantastic way for me to try all the new classes without actually going broke. I love it. I'm going to ask you this, actually, Shade. What do you think about the Oasis gear? I brought up the idea of, like, would it be bad for the game if the Oasis gear stayed in the game forever? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it would be good. I think it would be really good, considering where like the upper end is at. If people want to even like have a chance at getting there, I mean, obviously you can get there the hard way, like all of us did, but the idea is, the people that are progressing at like the end game portion of the game or end game, they're so far. I mean, like I'm 4 years ahead of anybody else who comes into the game. Now, granted, the current catch-up mechanics are way better than anything that I, had back in the day. It's still necessary for people to like be able to get into the game and play at least on the lower upper tier and I'm not saying that gear is like even close to lower upper tier, but it will let you grind right now in spots where you can make some decent money and start making gear gains and progression to where you can rapidly get to end game. And when I say rapidly, I'm talking Korean MMO terms, rapidly.
Yeah.
So you're probably looking at about like 6 months of work and progression. If you go really hard, or if you just God RNG carried, you could be like end to end game in 6 months if you start with that gear. And keeping in mind that you have to do your research, right? Like you have to figure out. Like BDO has so many aspects to it in terms of different avenues and ways to make money, taking advantage of, AFK fishing, life skilling, like all these things. Like, and I'm not saying you have to become an active life skiller all the time, but there's stuff that you can do, like setting up a worker node empire, processing wood from time to time while you play other games, stuff like that, things that constantly keep the bank rolling. And yeah, players can catch up really, really quickly, and I think the Oasis gear only helps that. And I feel like older players might think that it's unfair because they didn't have that, stuff like that. But it's like the game has progressed so far ahead, giving everybody try boss gear, it shouldn't bother anybody.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
it's
how
like
I
the
feel.
equivalent today. I don't know. Try boss gear is the equivalent today of like 2 years ago. What just having like a boss weapon in general was. I don't know. It's like. It's nothing compared to where everyone is at anyway. It's so early on that it's like just such a tedious thing to have to make someone grind for 2 weeks to get a try main hand. I don't know.
Exactly. Like having to grind up to the point where you can now finally go to, I don't know, Fogan's or Gaha's. It's not like you can go to History Aukman with that gear, right? It's like you're still like you're at Blood Wolves. Maybe you can do Sherikan with that gear, and I'm talking quest accessories at this point, right? Like maybe. If you've gone like really hard, getting tree groups or something like that, like maybe you've got a 62 earring, a 61 ring, the tri rock belt, well, I don't know what necklace you can get. Probably necklace would be the first thing that you actually enhance, right? Try to get a tri ogre. Like people can get like some decent gear to be able to like group grind trees. Or even solo grinding. Like one of the things that this HP pod has kind of shown me is that Sherikan is actually not bad money, especially for the AP required to actually do the spot. And I'm counting Kafras, right? These places drop a lot of Kafras, and at the early part of the game, you're better off selling. Like I usually tell people, don't sell your Kafras, right? You're gonna want to put it into gear at some point. But if you're at an early point in the game, and you're at one of these spots that gives a lot of Kafras. Sell them, use that money to get better gear upgrades now that are going to help you grind better spots sooner so that you can make more money to buy more Caphras later or grind out Caphras or whatever.
All right.
But
Agreed.
yeah, there's a lot of good grind spots that you can do with the Oasis gear, and I think they should definitely keep it. It's a great catch-up mechanic.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Sven Hund says, I don't care about PvE buffs. I'm really sick of Succession being better than Awakening in PvP. Well, there's hope. Hopefully, they said on Global Labs they're going to be buffing Awakening, so that might not be forever. We'll see. The Awkward Ninja says, I don't think Zerker Awakening PvE buffs make much of a difference, but PvE-wise, Zerker is really close. Succession is just way easier to play since it is literally spin and FD. Yeah, we'll have to see. I think it's just hard to tell with the percentages that they gave us, like how it's actually going to feel in game.
Some classes might get a pretty significant impact, but yeah, it needs to be tested out fully.
Yeah, and we need to see. Plus, it might change, like the way some of the skills are changed, especially some of the lesser used skills. There might just be new PvE combo in general, especially on things like Ninja, where a lot of useless skills are being buffed. So, Eumenidai says, I think in my personal opinion, if you get overwhelmed by having a lot of comments, you can always pick 3 or 4 and have a large discussion about them instead of trying to cover all the comments. Yeah.
But then your comment wouldn't get read.
Yeah, I like being able to read all the comments. Like this week we didn't have a lot of comments, so it's not really an issue. But and obviously I'm not complaining about having a larger amount of comments, but when we do, we want to get through them all. But if we have 50 comments and 20 of them are 3-page essays, it just takes way too long, and we still want to cover people's points and have the discussion, but we can't take the time to read it all out, and that's why the TLDRs are necessary whenever it's like a lot of comments on a video, basically.
Right. Yeah, I think it's fun to interact with the community, so I like reading them all. They just need to be reasonably lengthed. Suit Pants 14 says the focus in terms of talks for PvP should be gear balance. It is fact that gear is king in PvP and should not be the case. Any PvP should focus on skill, not gear. Yeah, you can just outgear the guy and kill him. That's meaningless, stupid, and overwhelmingly unfair. I propose this: 2 types of gear: PvP gear equal to hard cap and no crystal slots. Traditional gear for PvE and PvP. PvP can be gear used except in war. I.e., you want a spot, you flag, I get alerted, have time to get ready, mobs don't attack.
Yeah, all right.
You can't troll because if you win, your PvE gear is bad. You get one shot by mobs. That way, if you spent the year gearing up, you're rewarded for being able to grind at Star's End and not rewarded for griefing players, but having an unfair advantage. I don't know, man. Like, I know a lot of people feel in their heart, especially when they're newer players, or they're just starting out, that gear is the only thing that matters, but I just don't agree with it. There's so many people that I know, and myself personally, and people that are lesser geared than me, that can still kill me if they're better than me. I can still kill people that are way more geared than me if I'm better than them. Like, it's not, I don't know. I think skill is actually a way more important than people give credit to in the game.
Well, especially with all the catch-up mechanics and whatnot, it gives you maybe not the Oasis gear as a whole, but it's relatively easy to get to what is considered the low tier soft cap nowadays, which with some classes, a decent portion of the classes, you can kill some higher geared players. With extended combos, so skill can actually play a role. Yeah, you could probably get one shot by some accidental SA trades and whatnot, but if you acknowledge that weakness in your gear, you can actually manage to pull it off. I fight higher geared players all the time. Once you get to like a relative gear score level that's far from them, but not too far. Like, say for example, if I fight someone that's 650 gear score and I'm 600 gear score, that's not a problem. I can deal with that, no big deal. Starts getting at 680, yeah, it's tougher, but I can still manage in most cases. There's, I can just outplay them, catch them. They die just the same. But yeah, it's just knowing when to trade, when not to trade, stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. Where the game's at, it's not too hard to get geared to a point where you can be effective against almost everybody. The only thing is, I don't know. The guy mentioned like 2 types of gear, and if you want to still PvE, you can do that, but you'll be able to PvP with it too. But then you can have somebody that just gets like the PvP gear. It's like the whole reason. At least 90% of the people I know in this game, although there are some freaks that really enjoy killing monsters in a circle over and over again for hours and hours. Like, the only reason I do that shit is so that I can get better gear, so I can do better, mostly for group PvP, like group situations, right? Like 1v1, it's 1v1. It's definitely more skill over gear, unless you're at a point where you actually can't one combo the other person. You know what I mean? Then okay, gear's an issue, right? You can one combo him. You can't one combo him. He can one combo you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as 1v1
even
goes.
then, it's sort of like a if you get gear checked like that, it's still, I don't know, like gearing up, I always took pride in like when I'd run into someone from Man Up, like old Man Up back in the day, and like they could blow me up in 2 or 3 skills, but I'd had to catch them 2 or 3 times. Like, I don't know, those wins were meaningful, and it showed like the separation in skill, in my opinion. Yeah. So Max's Punch in chat says, "Did the Maywa finally get DP?" Do you have any DP now, actually?
316 Nova and 327 Kudum. So
Alright,
yeah, I've
that's
gotten
pretty
more
good.
DP.
Do you have any pen
Yeah,
armors?
I'm getting there. Once I'm working towards I'm getting my pen armors. I need tree and then muskins because I'm going evasion route. And once I get the 324 Nova, I feel like that's going to be a pretty big game changer as far as like my trade potential as well as my output. So, and then if I need to get tankier, I can swap to Kudum, which will force people with higher gear score to take off their Kudum and put on their Nova a little bit more often if they want to try to burst through me, which means they're going to be typically squishier.
Right.
So it kind of evens out the fight. I mean, this is something that Choice has talked about on his stream too. Is like when I was fighting Choice, he threw on his meme gear, his 415 DP gear, because I had a hard time one comboing him with that. He could survive long enough to be able to pop a whale pie, or if he needed to V out, and I would have a really hard time killing him. But he's like saying, as long as I had more DP, he wouldn't be able to one combo me, which means he'd have to throw on a different offhand to be less tanky so that he can actually manage to kill me, which would then change the fight because then I would actually be able to one combo him. That's what I mean by what I mentioned earlier. We're getting within range of someone's gear score. You don't have to match them.
Right.
You can be within 75 gear score of them and actually kill them. When you start getting to like 100 gear score difference, that's when it kind of gets
right.
But this is also relative to where in the brackets you are too.
It is funny because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Shade, you're like 10, maybe 15 gear score ahead of me. I think you're 292, 363. Is that right?
297 Awaken, 293 pre-Awaken, and yeah, I'm like 660 gear score basically.
Okay, so I'm like 289, 360 right now, and it's funny because once you start getting higher up, like Shade literally has to spend 70 bill to get like an accessory, or 50 bill, and like I'm still gonna be able to kill him just the same, like if we were fighting,
the getting to that threshold where you're unkillable is extremely hard. Which I had a differing opinion on this way back, Rough Frosty. I don't know if you remember the conversation we had during the different value pack podcast, but I mean, I'm seeing where the DP is definitely making a difference in a lot of areas. But...
Right. I mean, my thing has always been, instead of making gear not matter for PvP, just make it easier for the beginning parts of the game for newer players to catch up is a better solution, in my opinion.
Exactly, and that's what the Oasis gear does.
Yeah.
It gets them right into like a spot like Gahaz, Blood Wolves, maybe even Shere Khan.
Yeah, with relative ease.
Yeah, I keep hearing like people say, like when I'll run into someone that's like, it'll be 281, right? let's say, just doesn't even matter the class, but they'll be 281 and they'll be like, I shouldn't be 281 AP, and I go up to someone that's 360 DP like you and not be able to kill you in 2 or 3 skills. Like they need to buff my skill so I can kill you in 2 or 3 skills. I'm like, no. Well, why?
It's just too
that
much
doesn't
damage then.
it doesn't make
unfortunately.
any sense. Like that logic is so crazy to me.
I'm pretty sure like me and Frosty, like, you know, at relatively close like gear levels, are probably still full comboing each other. Like
Yeah.
at 290, you know, 290, 293, 297
Yeah.
ish gear. You know,
You definitely need a refloat at that DP.
it's not 3 skills. Yeah, it's like you get the first
Yeah.
CC, you're gonna have to do damage and get the second CC.
Yeah, and I think that's how it should be. Like, it also adds risk to a combo, and it adds, like, room for error, and it adds, like, in Node War and Siege, like, if I don't kill you in time, someone else can save you. Like, it's sort of like
Yeah.
other games have where people kind of stay upright for a long time. You know, it takes, like, a lot to kill somebody in games like Terra or Guild Wars and stuff like that, but in this game it doesn't. So the only thing you really have is, like, it needs to take a full combo, at least. Otherwise, everyone just instant pops. At least that's how I see it. So if I spend like a bunch of time getting DP, like, I don't want to still die in 2 skills because of a balance change. I don't know. It's weird. JL says Valk didn't get a PvE buff. What do you all think? Do you guys think Valk didn't get a buff because they're already top PvE? He's talking about Valk,
Yeah,
Valk Awakening.
they're definitely the upper half. And when I say upper half, I mean like top 10 Awakened Valk. Top 10 out of 19 classes, right? For underwater. I mean, that's the area I kind of have the most experience with.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good. They're good PvE at Stars and Underwater and History, but I mean, we'll see after the changes. I'm hoping that if everyone feels like how Succession feels for the most part, maybe Valk still might need a little bit of buff, because I think Valk Succession is actually still better than Awakening. Maybe, I think. I'm pretty sure side by side Valk Suck is actually better. And I don't think Valk Suck is too OP in PvE. I think it's fine, so they should both be about the same. Stone said, I would like to 1v1 Reslar to steal Frosty as my 2v2 partner. That is all, thanks. I'm not partnering with Reslar. He's a desync god, and I can't be with the desync god because he gets frustrated and I get frustrated, and it's bad.
I don't really do tournaments anymore for that reason. It's not fun for me. It's just frustrating because things aren't working how they should be.
Yeah.
And like if it's in open world or Node War, it's like whatever, but when it's in tournament and like this one thing going wrong literally loses you the whole thing, it's just way too frustrating.
Yeah, I realized too I'm a bad. There's like only a couple people where I don't even know how to say it, but basically I like trust everything that they're doing in PvP, so I don't get mad, because most of the time I'm actually just an asshole with my teammates. So I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful who I'm with. And if Reslar's desyncing around, I'm like, why the fuck didn't you peel? And he'd be like, I was lagging. I'm like, no, you suck. You know? So gotta avoid that.
Besides, Frosty's teaming up with Sammy, dude. They're gonna clap the 2v2.
We'll see. We'll see what happens, dude. If I get
Kuno, god damn.
I play so I do really poorly in tournaments. Like, I'm way better outside of a tournament because I get nerves bad in tournaments and make really bad decisions.
Yeah. I used to get that same kind of feel, but because these tournaments are like no risk, no reward kind of thing, it's no big deal.
Notoriety, you bitch. Andy Gillies says, Dead GG is a lawn after my own heart. Life skilling lawn here, maxing that low time investment money with dreams of 269 Kudum and 860 evasion someday. You keep dreaming, Andy. You're a big dreamer.
Big dreamer.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's possible. That's the crazy thing, is like if you actually get really high mastery, you make a ton of money. You just gear yourself up that way if that's what you prefer. Murderkind says, Frosty, when you buy coupons and reroll, what other purchases do you make for a new character from Pearl Shop? Like weight, inventory, costume. Most of the characters that I actually play have spent a significant amount of time on is weight. I almost never buy inventory. Like, a lot of my inventory is accumulated over time. I just don't think inventory is that necessary anymore, with maids and stuff. But yeah, I have weight on too many classes. I'll just
You
put it
see
that
my
way.
inventory.
I
you
don't
would
buy
think
costumes
otherwise.
either, unless if I play the class for a few weeks and I'm super into it, then I'll maybe get a ghillie suit. But every costume is available on the market for silver, so I just buy it with silver now. And I actually wish so much that weight and all that stuff could be listed as well. That would be so cool. Matthias War says, wonder when they remember Valkyrie is a class they made at some point. Yeah, one day they'll remember that they made Valkyrie. Also, I want to defend myself a little bit here. I've remained on Kuno for at least 179 of the last 180 days, which I think is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I mean, for you, it's pretty good.
That's really good. 08 says, getting stuck in a block is a fighting game mechanic called getting blocks done. In some games, it requires you to use one whole super gauge to get out of it. It awards active gameplay instead of turtling, but that really has no place in the game right now where everyone's block is getting blown up in a skill or two. Wish they would make blocks stronger or make it scale with your DP, not just DR.
Yep.
P.S. Nayashe needs to get a new computer, quit his job, and move out of his house so he could start defending Maywas in peace again. Yeah, I think most classes can side dash, but not every class has a reliable side dash that they can use to get out of it. So if they all did, then I'd be fine with it staying. But with it not being there, I don't love the getting block locked personally. Lost Soul says, hey guys, just a ninja in stealth. I haven't heard from Lost Souls in a long time. Justin Campbell says, what did you guys mean by tanning for the infinite potion?
For the infinite potion.
At Navarre's step, you have to actually use a tanning knife and gather either the birds, the Farika or Farinas, or the elephant or the baby elephant in order to get the material for the infinite potion. Mr. X says, Valkyrie main, I was so hyped for the PvE buffs when I saw which classes were buffed. Hype died. I really think Pearl Abyss has forgotten about Valkyrie. Just a suggestion, it might be a good idea to bring like 2 players of a class onto the show to get different opinions. Thanks for the podcast. We're all re-rolling to the male version of Shy when he gets released in 20XX. Fisherman, professional sailing and fishing pole main hand, it's gonna be great. We were gonna bring on 2 tamers, but there aren't 2 tamers, so we didn't.
Feels
tried.
bad, dude.
And even the tamers that we contracted, unfortunately, were one of them wasn't about it.
Well, yeah. We couldn't find a tamer. That's why we got Shade. We had to get the next best thing, a defense class. So
Bear said you're lying your ass off. You rolled
True.
3 times. I said I was a Kuno for 179 out of 180 days. That is very honest. Yes, I rolled 3 times in that 24-hour span that one day, but that's, shit happens.
it was one day. It was all in one day.
Yeah. To Andre says, to all these people who are remaining Guardian but still think it should be tuned down, bruh, are you even having fun with Guardian? Nothing needs to be changed. Guardian is perfectly fine. As a Guardian main, I don't want to see any nerfs because Guardian is the only class I can play and still gets kills. Keck W. What does Keck W mean in this context? I got boomer brain here.
Dude,
I don't know
in
what
this
young
context,
kids are saying these days.
He's just being sarcastic because it's the only ways you can get kills.
You're a streamer
Got it.
now, Frosty. You have to learn these things.
I know. I've been practicing. I renamed my cat to Pogs. Just to get the terminology in there, dude. AI Aiden says, for someone like me who wants to get back into BDO, only really played Sork, Mystic, and Striker. Which of the 3 and Awakened or Suck? Also, if I had Awaken on them, how would I go Suck? Sorry, kind of interested in trying this game again as a life skill guy who grinded 1 to 2x a week. So, I think he's saying he played Sork, Mystic, and Striker. Which of the 3, and should he go Awaken or Suck? I would just go... I mean, you can do any of them in succession, but Sork is like the clear best at the moment basically everything. But I think you could have fun on any of them now. Personally, what do you guys think?
I mean,
Play whatever's fun for you. Like metas are always changing. You realize you're going to spend a lot of time on the class. You're going to be grinding a lot, so make sure that it's something you enjoy playing ahead of it. Otherwise, you're going to burn out faster.
Yeah, and all it takes is one fucking patch to just change the whole meta.
Queso81 says, just throwing this out there to all the comments about grapple counters. Wouldn't iframe be a counter? No, dude, these players can't iframe in time.
You want to encourage more Sork type play?
Ochacha says, I ran into a group of them at Relics and one at Pila Phase, flagged up and killed both times. Lamau. I think he's referring to the that EU guild, but I'm not 100% sure.
I still love that you say Lamau instead of just laughing my ass off.
I actually, the first time I ever heard Lamau was from Reslar. When I first met Reslar, he said Lamau.
I feel like you're more of a boomer than I am.
I am. He said Lamau, and I literally didn't know what he was saying. I was like, this guy's so weird. Every time he like says something, he finishes the sentence with meow, and it sounds fucking weird.
He asked me one day. He was like, "Are you saying la meow?" I was like, "What the fuck did you just ask me?"
He taught me, dude. The Misassin says, let's see. The Musassin says, I like how y'all just breezed through the fact that Musa got 0 meaningful buffs to Awakening, and they gave us 100% crit rate buff on flow skill and PvE that doesn't do shit. What about buffing crosscut in PvE or making Spinner to something else rather than self-buff to attack speed? Sigh. I've said it before, but PA for some reason is not like Musa. Edit. You basically went over that dude with the long statement, but skip mine just to talk about lowering the cooldown on Stub Arrow. I mean, it's not anything personal. It was like, you had 5 separate comments.
What did he say?
No, he was just talking about how we skipped over some of his comments because his comments were, he had like 5 comments that were all a paragraph. So I just didn't read them all. I mean, a lot of Mooses are saying they need PvE buffs, so if you need PvE buffs, then yeah, but I don't know.
Choice actually contacted me not too long ago, earlier this week, and discussed with me what some potential Maywa changes were for either Awakening or Succession. He's going through the list of different classes. He spoke to a couple other people so far. I think he needs to get with a lot of people. He did this in the past, back in December or something like that. But
to get their opinion on the class,
we're starting to hit. Yeah, and try to feel out like what some potential change requests could be sent to.
Never contacted me.
I just got Pen, by the way.
You did? Trying to
yeah.
Pen what? Dandy?
Noover.
Hey, congrats, dude.
Congrats, dude. It's so random. Congrats.
What?
Fucking don't yawn like you don't care about Pen you've been working on for a year.
I really don't. I blew up 2 Tet Ogres and or Tri-Ogres, I guess, going for Tet. I literally was about to just blow up my weapons, like fuck it, and then of course it goes on the first one because the only time I get anything in this game is when I'm ready to quit.
Well, congratulations, dude. You could sell it and buy a real weapon now. Riga says, just kidding.
Probably what I'm gonna do, in all honesty.
Riga says TLDR. So he has kind of a long comment. Starting off with, I'm with Reslar completely on the Q buff part. Like even if Prime Raging Thunder wouldn't be the top choice among Zerka community to receive an SA protection, still the way skills work literally begs for one, in my opinion. Then he has a whole bunch of other stuff, but he says TLDR, Raging Thunder and Succession needs SA. Fearsome Tyrant cooldown is ridiculously long. Q buffing Succession again was not the way to go. Queso81 says Ranger back again. We got our C-Swap buffed damage. Hell yeah. Our C-Swap buff damage. What does that even mean? Oh, they buffed the damage of your C-Swap? Hell yeah.
Of the C-Swap itself.
If that's true, hell yeah. Rhinopotamus said, today I learned Nayashe's Twitch isn't www.twitch.tv/SoFrosty. Chris Saul says, has there ever been a Sork on the show, or is that like hearsay? Just
We had
noticed
a Sork.
it had the same comment in the vid. Yeah, we had Hedon on the podcast a long time ago, like 7, 8 months ago now. Shuri says Zerk Succession is pretty chill in PvE. Pretty easy with the fingers as well. In PvP, it's a different story. We're full melee, pretty much unprotected outside of Prime buff, Q buff, or Awake. Lava Piercer, Raging Thunder, soon Predatory Hunt isn't easy to avoid, catch even with mouse movement. Pretty funny to look at, though, jumping around like a deranged Neanderthal. We don't have the rocket jump anymore to grab snipe from downtown and extra mobility. Only way to actually kill someone is to grab snipe people with Lava Piercer and catch them with a stiff using Storming Beast and /Stomp. Bunny says, so I'm started doing RBF a lot recently, not gonna lie, so far as strong as Wiz Witch, Archer, and Ranger spam is annoying, nothing beats having to play against 20 goddamn shield classes. I thought Guardian damage was broken, but then see Valk bursting me through my block to 0 HP. Warrior dashing grabbed me after running away from him to Narnia. I don't know, I just feel useless against those classes as a DK. Can't break their blocks. If I go behind them, it doesn't matter. Their blocks SA, and they make Jordan go burr. TLDR remove shield classes. Easy, balanced game. Love you guys. Keep up the podcast.
Yeah, probably would be.
Remove all shield. I like it. Should be no blocks.
No
Zibba.
blocks. No frontal guards either.
Yeah, let's remove it all. Zibba says, I hope they buff Moose Awakening next patch. It gets 1k less trash at high-end spots compared to other classes. Ugh. No, it does not. Seriously, seriously says, when is Nayashe going to be in the intro? Is it because he's a Meiwa? Haha. He's never going to be in the intro.
True.
Unless he pays money. Yeah, if he's gonna pay his part, I gave Rezlar $1,500 to be in that intro.
Why do you think Rezlar wants the footage of our 1v1 so bad? He's trying to get all the footage of me getting rolled by Frosty and Rezlar, and then he's gonna put it into the opening intro clip.
Yeah, that's gonna be the intro, dude.
Yeah, it's like, I'm Rezlar, I'm Frosty, and I'm not. Dude, what the fuck? Desync. Dude, how did that even get behind me?
all of my complaints about the desync in the audio.
R9S says, hi, returning to game and have brought 6 people to join me and try out the game now that there's free try gear. Love Sakuno. Nice to see y'all still doing the podcast. Thank you. Welcome back to the game. Yeah, the Oasis gear is awesome. And then hopefully that trial gear thing we get in a couple weeks is also good. Or usable, the CP gear thing. Call says loved it, and Corinne says D. So that about does it for the show. Shade, I want to thank you again for coming on, man. It was super fun talking Tamer and hanging out with you and hearing the backstory on Snake and Vision and how you used to be basically a mapper but with a shovel. You want to remind
Old school
everyone?
Mapper.
Yeah, you want to remind everyone where to find you and your Twitch and that stuff. Do you have a Discord as well?
I do have a Discord, but I don't have like a real Discord name for it, so I don't remember. Anyway, you can just check out my stream, twitch.tv/shadeshade. That's shade twice, and then if you want the Discord, you can just ! Discord in the chat, and that'll give it to you.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was interesting. It was a lot different than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I told you, like,
good.
everyone joins and they think it's going to be something different. It's literally just...
It's just like talking to Discord with friends, to be honest.
Everyone always says that. They're like, I really thought this was going to be not what I expected. And I think it's going to be like this.
Yeah. Rez, you want to go over some of the new stuff, the Patreon and all that stuff, again, while I use the restroom?
Yeah, sure, go ahead, man. So, just to reiterate what we said before, in case you may have missed it or something. First of all, you may get ads on the YouTube videos now. The channel is now monetized. Just trying to make some money off of it, basically. Just use ad blocker. If you're not using ad blocker in 2020, what are you doing? Also, if you want to support us, like financially, show your support in an extra way than just watching the video, leaving a comment, liking, and all that stuff. We have set up like a very basic Patreon. Right now we have 4 tiers, and you get special roles in Discord based on what tier you want to be a part of. And let's see. Extra content as well. We're going to be recording starting next week, not this week because there's no Patreons yet, obviously. No patrons. So we're not going to make content for no one. But starting next week, we're going to be recording, we're calling it an after-hour show, where it's basically just like probably 30 minutes to an hour of just extra content. So if you guys want that extra content, you can go and check that out. You can also get your name in the podcast. I'm going to be adding all of our Patreons that have purchased that tier in the podcast as a way to say thank you. Also, tournaments coming up. We haven't decided on a date for the 2v2 yet. It'll probably be sometime this week where we announce that. So make sure you join the NA Duelist Discord and you join the Value Pack Podcast Discord. And that way you have all the information that you could possibly need on regarding the tournaments. And remember, this month is 2v2, next month is 1v1 from Nayashe. So keep an eye out on that sort of shit. And I think that's everything.
I was thinking we could sneak in a power leveling service. Tier 5 is we power level you to level 60 at trees. $100, dude. We power level you. You have to use 530s though, min rec.
Speaking of Patreon, dude, ever since I set that shit up, like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever it was, they have sent me like 20 emails. Like, here's how you make more money. It's like, dude, like, calm down. Holy shit.
Yeah,
like they really trying to
standard with all those kinds of different
they're trying to milk that shit, brother. Holy shit. Anyway,
right.
Yeah, I think that's everything. Thanks again to Shade for hanging out with us. Make sure you check him out. The links to his stream is going to be in the description down below. Check that out. And make sure you share the podcast with all your friends and your family. Probably not your family. Family probably doesn't play BDO. They probably won't care, but share it around.
Share it with your family anyways.
Like it. Leave a comment telling us what you think, even if it's long as fuck. Just please include a TLDR if it is long as fuck, so that way we don't have to read the entire thing. And yeah, guys, we'll catch you next time.